14th, 2019, 9 a.m. At this point, I'm going to ask everyone to rise and please remove your caps for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have under the agenda, the next item is, this is public comments. At this time, anyone may address the board on matters which are on the agenda. Please go to the podium, state your name and home address. And this is relatively new to the agenda. If there's an action item or something that you would like to speak on before we have discussion on it, now would be the time to do that. So if anyone has an issue that they would like to talk about, they can go to the podium now and do so. Seeing none, we'll move on. We have under proclamations, we have, thank you. And is there a representative from St. Mark's present? If you'd like to maybe come to the podium, I'll read the proclamation and then you can make a few comments. The proclamation, keeping the lights on after school. Whereas the citizens of Dubuque County stand firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide safe, challenging, and engaging learning experiences that help children develop social, emotional, physical, and academic skills. Support working families by ensuring their children are safe and productive after the regular school day ends. Build stronger communities by involving students, parents, business leaders, and adult volunteers in the lives of young people, thereby promoting positive relationships among youth, families, and adults. Engage families, schools, and community partners in advancing the welfare of our children. Whereas St. Mark Youth Enrichment has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education and well-being of our youth, grounded in the principle that quality after-school programs are key to helping our children become successful adults. Whereas Lights On After School, the national celebration of after-school programs held this year on October 24th, promotes the importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of children, families, and communities. Whereas more than 28 million children in the U.S. have parents who work outside the home, and 15.1 million children have no place to go after school. Whereas many after-school programs across the country are facing funding shortfalls so severe that they are being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights. Whereas the County of Dubuque is committed to investing in the health and safety of all young people by providing expanded learning opportunities that will help close the achievement gap and prepare young people to compete in the global economy. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2019 as Lights On After School Day. And be it further resolved that this supervisor enthusiastically endorses Lights On After School and commits our community to engage in innovative after-school programs and activities that ensure the lights stay on and the doors stay open for all children after school. Proclamation adopted this 14th day of October, Dubuque County Board of Supervisors.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to adopt the proclamation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Beth McGorry from St. Mark Youth Enrichment, and I am always so thankful to be able to speak to you all. The expansion of after-school programming out in Dubuque County is beautiful and ever needed. We don't want to talk about the poverty and the need as much in the county. People are a little bit more nervous to talk about that and hard to see sometimes. It doesn't look the same as it does in downtown Dubuque, and we have the opportunity every day to keep these kids safe and give them opportunities to really explore their life and explore opportunities. On Lights On After School, we want to invite you out to Dyersville about 4:20. They're going to do Mission Impossible for all of you. And so they're super excited to share their experiences with you and get to know you and for you to get to know our kids. They are super amazing young people. Pre-K, so 4-year-olds are hanging out with the 5th graders. And so it's just a beautiful experience to see the growth that this program has taken and really with your support as a county to take care of these kids. So we are thankful and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Ask you a question, Beth?
Yes.
Outside of Dyersville, and thank you for mailing me that invitation to me at home. Maybe you sent those to the other supervisors. I'll be coming back from Cedar Rapids from a regional meeting, and I will try to make that all coordinate to be in Dyersville. But what other cities, towns are you in outside the city of Dubuque? Where else are you providing after-school services?
So we're providing Piasta, and we're actually taking kids from Farley to Piasta.
Okay.
There wasn't enough, I guess, money, funding, all of those things to get everything to work out for Farley to be their own isolated school. And so we've figured out with the district to bus those kids from Farley to Piasta to take care of them. And we're also at Seton Catholic. So those 4 schools are affiliated with our county program. Yeah.
Okay.
And we've looked into Cascade because Cascade has a huge need and we're still addressing those issues out there.
And I have had folks ask me about Cascade and whether you will be able to be present maybe next year, what that will look like.
And those conversations are very much ongoing, so trying to make it all work out. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're so thankful. Thank you.
Would you like to get a photo up?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, Beth, would you like to come up here? We'll get a
Of course,
photo with the Board of Supervisors.
always.
Use wall
Should be ready to roll.
big old chair here. We can get in front of the flags.
Do you have the proclamation or hold it?
Yeah, yes. Here. Go.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you so much. Jake, thanks.
Thanks for your support, appreciate it.
All right, next item on the agenda, item number 2, approval of minutes of the meeting of September 23 and October 10th, 2019.
Make a motion to approve.
I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the 2 meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. All right, item 3 on the agenda is consent items. The following items will be acted upon by a single motion without separate discussion unless the supervisor requests that a specific item be considered separately. So I'll go through those. 3A, Class LC liquor license, Berkey's Bar and Grill management change. Class WCN wine permit, Barrelhead Winery. Class LC liquor license, Harvey's Airline Inn. Class LC liquor license, Rody's Double J LLC. Class C liquor license, BW Beer and Wine. 5-day permit, Sacred Heart Church. Item 3B, quarterly report from the county auditor. And item 3C, quarterly report from the county recorder. What's your pleasure?
I make a motion to approve the consent item as presented.
And I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the consent items A, B, and C. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Item number 4 on the agenda, procurement procedures. We have item A, which is proof of publication.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the proof of publications. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. Item 4B, receipt of quotes, 2019-2020 model year heavy-duty, regular cab, single axle, 4x4 with 8-foot box, 10,700 pound gross vehicle weight pickup truck. And this is for the road department. So Anthony, do you have any comments on this?
These are just scheduled replacements for existing maintenance vehicles that we have.
Okay, so will we open the bids?
How many bids do we have, Mary? A bunch? 5 for each? Okay. Thank you.
So we would expect the life of this vehicle to be a little longer now that it'll be tucked in, right?
I'm sorry.
The life of this vehicle may be a little longer now that it'll be housed inside,
That's what we hope for,
out
yes.
inside
Yes.
our large machine, what are you calling them?
Our maintenance facility.
Maintenance facility.
Maintenance
there.
building.
Thank you.
Okay, the first bid is from Rundy Chevrolet. And the bid is for $33,472. This is a Chevrolet 2020 CK model pickup. There's also an option 1 for $495.95 for a spray and bed liner and a rear camera, which is standard price.
Anthony, was the spray and bed liner, was that requested or?
Yes, it's something we requested to see what that would cost.
Okay,
So it's just an option 1 for us to consider.
$495?
$495.95.
Okay.
Right. This is 10,000 pounds. Yeah, it looks like we just read for the second one. Yeah. Okay, so both of these vehicles are very close in nature, but one is considered a large vehicle and another one's considered a regular vehicle. So the one we just read here was the 10,000 pound GVWR minimum vehicle, which is actually item C
Okay,
on your agenda there. We'll do C.
so that first one was from 4C?
For C, yes.
All right, I'll just read that, so we have that in the record. So we're doing 4C, receipt of quotes, 2019-2020 model year, large, regular cab, heavy-duty 4x4 with 8-foot box, 10,000 pound GVWR pickup. So this is 4C.
Just make sure on this. Okay, so the next bid here is from Finnan Ford. And the bid is for $31,700. It's a 2020 Ford F-250 XL Super Duty. And the option 1 is $495. And option 2 is included in it. The next bid is from Turpin Dodge. It's for a Ram 2019 2500 heavy duty, $28,027. And option 1 is $445. Option 2 is standard. Is that it for this? Or Okay, next bid is from Richardson Motors. It's for a 2020 GMC Sierra 2500. Bid amount is $31,387, $31,387. Option 1 is $495.95, and option 2 is standard. Final bid. Okay, final bid here for item C. It's from Victory Ford, Ford 2020 F-250 regular cab, $30,398, $30,398. Option 1 is $500, and option 2 is standard. Okay, and that's it for C.
That was it. So there's 5 bids.
Correct.
Okay. What's your pleasure on the,
I'll make a motion to receive and file the bids and defer to the county engineer for his recommendation.
Second.
okay, motion made and seconded in 4C, item 4C, to refer to the county engineer for his recommendation and receive and file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Item 4B, this would be the 2019-2020 model year heavy-duty regular cab, single axle, 4x4 with 8-foot box, 10,700-pound GVWR pickup truck.
Okay, the first bid is from Richardson Motors. It's a 2020 GMC 3500. The amount is $33,157, $33,157. Option 1 is a spray and bed liner for $495.95, $495.95. Option 2 is for aluminum wheels, $273. And option 3 is a rear camera, which is standard. Next bid is from Victory Ford. It's a Ford 2020 F-350 regular cab, $30,594, $30,594. Option 1 is $500. Option 2 is $968, and option 3 is standard. The next bid is from Finnan Ford. It's a 2020 Ford F-350 XL Super Duty. The bid amount is $32,697, $32,697. Option 1 is $495. Option 2 is $968, and option 3 is standard. The next bid is from Rundy Chevrolet. It's a Chevrolet 2020 CK 30903. The bid amount is $34,141, $34,141. Option 1 is $495.95. Option 2 is $591.50. And option 3 is standard. And final bid from Turpin Dodge. It's a Ram 2019 3500 regular cab, $29,870, $29,870. Option 1 is $445. Option 2, they say no option there, and option 3 is standard. And that's the final bid.
All right,
Make a motion to receive and refer to the county engineer for review.
I'll second that.
okay, motion made and seconded to receive and file and refer to the county engineer for his recommendation. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. Next item is, under procurement procedures, item number 4D on the agenda. And that's a request for proposals for the sheriff's storage building. We want to have Sheriff Kennedy and Chief Deputy Reniker come forward. Good morning.
I can go through if you want.
Where we've been in the process of trying to get an evidence storage building for our bulk evidence. So this RFP, we've been working with a civil engineer to design the office space of the structure. Because the outer shell of the structure is basically just going to be a pre-engineered steel building. So we needed a civil engineer to be able to build out the office space so that it could provide storage above that office space and mezzanine level. So that is now completed, and we are ready to put out for RFP for the building project.
Okay. We have questions for Sheriff Kennedy?
No, I looked at the specs in the building. It looks like what you described previously. Combination of light offices and then storage space, right? And that's going to be the area vacated by the county road and bridge, that kind of
Correct.
back storage area.
Yeah, currently they have an old shed there that is no longer serviceable. In speaking with Tom Berger from EMA, he's pretty confident that as far as that structure that's there is concerned, we can probably find a scrapper or somebody to come in and take the tin off for the cost of the scraps. And he said that they could burn the rest of the structure for training for fire departments.
Okay.
So, getting that removed shouldn't be an issue. And I guess, I don't know, Anthony, I haven't been back there, do you guys still have stuff over there or not? I don't know, I haven't been back there, so.
We still have
So once they're completely done with that area, then that's when we would probably start. Likely, we were hoping to start in the fall, but due to how long it took us to kind of get this thing designed up and everything, it's looking, unless it's a balmy 70 degrees into Christmas, it's looking like it's probably going to be a spring project now, so.
Okay.
I couldn't remember, did the project include excavation costs as far as dirt work removal and site pad?
Yeah, we did have them include that in the RFP. The site is actually relatively flat. The only thing that is probably going to cost as far as removal is there's a concrete pad there, and I guess I'm not sure how big that concrete pad is. I don't know. Do you know off the top? Sure. So just the existing concrete that's there. But I spoke with Anthony about it a month or so ago, and he didn't think it would be too large of a cost. So, yeah.
Because there won't be a basement on this, right? It'll be just a cement slab as well, at grade.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And the public hearing's on the 28th? Or the opening of the bids?
Opening of
Bids,
bids
the
is on the
bids, excuse me.
28th. Yep. So, yeah. Do you have anything else on that?
Anything else? Any other questions for Sheriff Kennedy or Chief Deputy Reniker?
I'll make a motion to approve the request for proposals for the sheriff's storage building.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the RFPs for the sheriff's storage building. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving to item 5, public hearings. First item under 5A is
Also
a,
a question of the chair. We have a letter G. Is that a public hearing? Or is that mischaracterized?
Recommendation. Which is where we're at, so good catch. Can we take that out of order then?
all right, we're gonna go back to procurement.
The sheriff here as well.
There you go, perfect.
And we still have Sheriff Kennedy and Chief
You're on
Deputy
for a
Reiniger
public
here.
hearing.
It's, there's a recommendation from the county sheriff regarding 3 new 2020 Dodge Durango pursuit rated vehicles utilized by the road patrol. And
Obviously, you're not.
it
public.
showed up in public hearings, where it should have been in procurement procedures. And we've got the, recommendation is on, here under 5G, so, I guess, we're not moving you ahead, it was just mischaracterized.
Putting us where we should have.
Yeah.
That's okay. Our program. These vehicles will be paid for out of forfeiture funds as reimbursement for the shooting range project. We put out bids to everybody within 50-mile radius, and then we also did receive a bid from Stu Hansen in Des Moines. We got 6 bids back. As you can see, Stu Hansen was actually the cheapest for the three squad cars with all the options that we had selected. Brad Deary, they came in second at a cost of $94,302. However, they did not include remote start or that cost in the bid. So that was one of the requested items that we had for the vehicles. Galena Chrysler was third with $94,497. That did include the cost of remote start. Turpin was $94,950, which would have included a third-party remote start. Victory Ford is $96,405, included the remote start, and Talkie Motors in Dyersville was $101,307, including the cost of the remote start. When we looked at this, although Stu Hansen was about $500 cheaper, when we thought about the logistics of having to drive 4 people down to Des Moines to pick up 3 squad cars, we just didn't think that that made sense. We appreciated that they thought to,
I'll say.
it's too costly for us to go down and get the vehicles. It just doesn't make sense for us to drive down there for that small of an increment. So, and then Brad Deary, not including one of our requested options, we moved them out. So then that brought Galena Chrysler in as the top bidder. In addition to them being the most appropriate low bidder for what we were looking for, they also are the only one that has already has some of these vehicles on order that are unspoken for. They have VIN numbers for them. They believe they're going to be in by the end of the month. Where that comes into play, Keltec, who we do business with for our equipment and some of our vehicle outfits, has told us that if we can guarantee them our however many vehicles by tomorrow, that they would include a free light bar controller, which is worth about $1,100. So then there's also, with 3 vehicles, there's a $3,300 savings there, which none of the other businesses are able to replicate that
Is that included, is that discount included in the numbers we're seeing?
It is not
So it's
because
an additional savings.
that's a separate company, it's a separate deal. The only reason we're bringing that up is because we believe that Galena is the only company that's gonna be able to get the vehicles in time for us to receive that cost saving.
And they're functionally the lowest bid.
Functionally, they're the lowest bid,
Okay.
so.
I have a little heartburn about, you know, when it comes to Dubuque County businesses. But is there an issue with the third-party remote versus factory? Is that,
I think the issue that we run into in the past is if we have the dealer do it under an OEM part, it falls under the factory warranty. So the 3-year, 36,000 miles, where the third market doesn't.
I see.
So,
Okay.
And,
Just the remote start component, right?
correct.
right,
Pretty small, isn't it?
Right. It is to a certain degree.
yeah.
Yeah, I would echo Supervisor Baker. I think the bids you have there, they're all pretty tight, which is good. And we've got 3 of them that are located in Dubuque County. I would really like to see us give them strong consideration. Appreciate everyone from Illinois that comes over to Iowa and spends money here. That's tax money that goes to our roads and other departments. But, you know, having the taxpayers reside within Dubuque County and the businesses reside within the county, and you're only dealing with less than 1% difference on 2 of the bids, I would really look, unless there was egregious problems, to try to give them some of the business.
I guess we've dealt with Turpin in the past, and I really would not prefer to discuss it in a public format, in a forum, but it just didn't go smooth.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they've probably been in business for quite a while, so I'm sure they're doing something right. Don, what's our policy related to local purchases and the discretion the board would have on bids? 10%?
I'm not really in favor of this, but I think currently it includes Galena. And I'm not happy about that, but I believe we have a 25 or 30 mile circle around Dubuque. So I think Galena falls into the same category as Dubuque or Epworth or Dyersville. We may want to look at changing that. I have suggested that in the past because, you know, I think we should give more consideration to Dubuque County businesses. I think that 30 mile may even bring in Platteville, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and that's my understanding, is that the policy is vague and doesn't define what local means. And is it not safe to say that Dubuque, being the hub of commerce in this part of the country, draws significant amount of business in sales tax and other business from the Galena area?
Yeah.
And I think that it's only fair that we reciprocate.
Yeah. And I think we have. I think you've purchased multiple vehicles from Galena Chrysler, and I think this board has approved those purchases. And so my comment would be that, you know, we look more towards those local vendors. And you know, particularly when the price is so close, you're dealing with just, you know, $500, even less than $500 on 96,000.
Well, it's more like 1,600.
Correct.
Because they're not going to be able to get those vehicles in for 3 to 4 months.
And I just want, I mean, I brought this up because I have in the past, and I think what we need to do as a board is review our local preference policy. And then you would know for future reference. So I think on this one, I'm leaning towards supporting your recommendation, but I have in the past, so I'm gonna ask Dawn that we have a work session to review what we call local. And I mean, taxpayers and businesses, citizens of Dubuque County, and I agree, there's sales tax that come in from Illinois, Wisconsin, and outside of Dubuque County, but, we're talking about doing, doing business, Dubuque County business. I think, we should look at that, but,
Is that the map, Don? Okay. We might have to get with GIS, see if they can help us on that map. Looks like a radar of fire.
That extends
it
to.
looks like we used a rubber band.
We're into Wisconsin. I see Jay, where's Platteville? Lafayette County, so yeah, because they're in Grant County,
It's either
right?
25 or 30 miles. I can't remember.
151.
We would need to review that. so.
That's gotta be.
It definitely
farther-
includes
That's gotta be
Platteville.
farther than that,
Well-
because if look how far you're into Delaware County. It's 26 miles from here to Dyersville.
Yeah, it's clearly on the Iowa side, it's very extensive. But it does include Platteville. And I believe Galena. Yeah, Galena's in there, yep. But I think at the same point, we also have discretion, we have 4 elected officials here, talking and discussing about that, so I feel good in a public meeting. I would just, if the local bid is 10% and there's discretion, and, we throw out Ankeny, which is clearly not local, now you've got 4 of them that are in that regional bubble to choose from. All good companies.
I've heard you use your discretion, and I appreciate you coming to us and laying it all out. I mean, I'm prepared to make a motion to approve the recommendation from the sheriff to purchase 3 vehicles quickly to take advantage of another financial incentive. So that would be my motion, to approve the sheriff's recommendation with regard to purchase of the vehicles.
There's a motion to approve the sheriff's recommendation. Is there a second? I will second it. Further discussion?
I just think this is probably the 3rd or 5th time I've been an advocate for local Dubuque-based businesses and have lost the vote. That's what I do for a living. Almost a majority of our funding comes from local property taxes. We do receive some sales tax through our local option sales tax for roads. And so we appreciate those that are in Jackson, Delaware, Illinois, and Wisconsin, spending money in Dubuque. But those that reside and work and live in Dubuque County fund this county. And that's why we have local, accommodations for their purchasing. And I think when in doubt, we should buy local.
And I agree.
And I'm also
with
a
that.
small business owner, and I've heard the sheriff and the chief deputy go through your use of discretion. And so that's the purpose of the motion.
I think with the rules we have in place today, this is a prudent decision and recommendation. Dawn, when can we have that work session at the next meeting? Okay, so, and Sheriff Kennedy and Chief Deputy Reniker, you may want to be involved in that discussion. Okay, motion was made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Carried 2-1.
Sheriff Kennedy, I'd be interested in a report about the take-home vehicles. If you want to do that at budget time or when, but these are your last 3 to roll out. When you think you might be able to give us just some update, if you have any impact of something that's happened or not happened, good or bad. And if you don't see any trend, then that's fine too. Okay. But I'd be interested in how that program's going.
Yeah, it's, we should have hopefully something by budget time. However, because of the way, we've kind of phased this in.
Sure.
We didn't have a lot of them out there until 3 weeks ago, where people were actually taking them home. I think now we've only got, 5 people that are still sharing.
Great. Just know I have an interest in an update, so no
Okay.
formal expectation of response.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Dawn, for that work session, we'll probably need to at least invite most of the department heads and elected officials, I assume. Thank you. All right, now we'll go with item 5 on the agenda, which is public hearings. And we have proof of publication for public hearing for zoning, item 5A. And it's a notice of public hearing for today for zoning cases, and it's the proof of publication.
Make a motion to approve the proof of publication for the public hearings.
Second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we have item B, notice of public hearing for the fiscal year 20 budget amendment number 2. And this is the, excuse me. For this, we will refer to
Thank you.
our budget director, Stella Rundy, for her report.
Is this new information?
And this, the public
Is this a
hearing is
recall?
in 2 weeks, right? On this?
What was that?
The public hearing on the,
Will be at the next, this is
28th.
the approval of publishing the notice.
okay.
In the papers this.
Right.
uh,
I have in my notes that the public hearing is actually set for October 28th at 5:30 PM.
Correct.
Okay,
We are publishing notice again. The state legislature doesn't seem to think we do this very often, but
I think we're
publishing more
very,
notice.
very transparent.
So I just wanted to do a quick overview of the notice that will go into the papers for publication for our second budget amendment. I've handed out the form and the fund balances and also kind of a cheat sheet that I put together. What did I do with that? So I kind of put together a cheat sheet of what is in this state form. I know we look at things on a departmental level, but I kind of put together what is represented in each bucket here, just for your reference. I think it might be helpful when you're reviewing these forms. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. Some of the, I shouldn't say that. Some of the things are pretty self-explanatory. Taxes levied on property, uncollected delinquent taxes, credits. Coming down the line, we represent revenue first. We have some increases in revenue in this budget amendment. Big one being some grant funding on a bridge project for Heritage Trail. And the other large miscellaneous item would be the insurance monies that we'll get on our lightning claim. I believe you're all aware that the courthouse was affected by storm damage, lightning last month. And so we've gotten an advance on our insurance, but we are anticipating close to $500,000 of damage. We have a $20,000 deductible on that.
That's, damage was facilities, maintenance
Facilities.
on the HVAC controls,
Yep, HVAC.
as well as IT, considerable damage there.
Full IT damage.
Is our total liability a $20,000?
Yes,
That's it for a $500,000 claim?
yes.
There's no other fees that we're gonna be responsible for, but just that initial deductible?
Other major items that went into this, so this is kind of the culmination of the last few months of your deliberations. Essentially, I'm compiling all of the things and then putting it into the amendment as we go along. So other major items that end up in this amendment would be our capital project carry forward. So that is lots of various things through lots of various departments, but things that were approved in our FY19 budget that weren't done by June 30th. So buildings that were in progress, conservation progress, things that were in progress, roads projects that were in progress, lots of things come forward.
And so, do you have the ability to step through those with us, or are these just by general?
This is by general. I could do that at the full public hearing if you would like to see all of those.
Pardon me?
I can do that at the public hearing if you'd like to see all of the capital projects.
Sure, I wouldn't mind a recap. Set it for the amount of time to slog through it all, yep.
Okay.
And the next meeting at which the public hearing would be is an evening meeting, so we would have time to do a
We would do a
work
daytime
session
one.
during the day.
Mhm.
Okay,
Well, the public might be interested in it too.
of course. I assume you plan on making a presentation during your public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
You may have mentioned, is the administrative, the increase in the $1.4 million increase in the administrative line item expenditures is, is that, 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 is that,
That looks
Trying to get to where
high.
you were.
So under expenditures administration,
Yep.
you summarize that piece?
Line 24. Line 24 ends up being a lot of general county administration, facilities maintenance, IT, auditor, treasurer, GIS, our insurances, our work comp insurance. That's kind of what falls into that administrative bucket.
Do we carry over projects and that's that
There's some
carry over
project
facilities?
carryover. Yep, there's some
Okay.
project carryover. Also, the lightning stuff will fall into that
Fall in
bucket.
that category,
Yep,
okay,
so that's 525,000 of that.
okay,
Okay,
thank
but
you.
that's the accounting wrinkle there, because our liability is the $20,000 deductible, but you have to put in the full $500,000 claim.
Yes, I have to put in the full claim to give us authority to spend it,
Okay,
because we have to have authority to do it, but then I'm reflecting it also in the revenue, that we'll get 500, and I have it projected at 505, and the cost at 525.
thanks, Donna.
Yep. Let's see. Other big things that ended up in this amendment would be the updated backfill allocation. We got the final numbers on FY20. That decreased from 856,000 in FY19 to 824,000 in FY20. Other items that you had approved over the course of the past few months would be the airport guarantee payment to try to get that new service into Dubuque, the Dean FEMA acquisition, the Race in the Heartland Conference, the RDG parking lot study, various MHDD spend down dollars. So those were approved after the FY20 budget was completed. So we're talking now, April through now, kind of things that you have approved that are getting into here. The MHDS regional CEO was hired as a Dubuque. She will reside in Dubuque and she will run through our county payroll. We are fully reimbursed by the MHDS region for her being here, but have to reflect her in here as well.
And that includes the roll-up costs, the FICA, IPERS?
All of it, everything, office, supplies,
Okay.
anything related to her position will be reimbursed. The courtroom AV project, that was a big capital project that we had a work session on, that we were increasing funding to make sure we had all 5 courtrooms included in that project. NICC, the ATV training, the Resources Unite admin fee, the conduit debt income. So if you recall, we did some conduit debt, and we got a fee for that. So that's the bulk of what's in here. So capital projects and the things that you have approved over the course of the last 4 or 5 months kind of end up into here. So we're increasing revenues by $425,639. We're increasing expenses by $532,226. So the bottom portion of this form reflects our fund balances. So we're projecting a $28,850,000 fund balance in total at the end of our FY20 year. And that's broken down on this larger form. This represents, so FY19 actual, Auditor Dolan went through that with you, I believe, last board meeting of our actual ending balances. They were higher due to the continuation of our large capital projects. So West Campus and E911 being the bulk of those dollars. So those are all projected to be spent down in FY20. I have our current budget as it was previously approved in the fund balances, and the amendment as the third bucket here proposed.
Okay. Any questions for our budget director?
Just a comment that your line-by-line document is very helpful, so I appreciate you putting that together.
I agree. So this is proposed to be a public hearing in 2 weeks on the 28th.
Correct, so this will get published in the
Motion.
newspaper, the newspapers this Wednesday, if you approve it here.
I'll make a motion to approve the notice of public hearing for the fiscal year 20 budget amendment 2.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Thank you, Stella.
Thank you.
All right, next up is item C, notice of public hearing on proposed speed limit change, and this is on Herod Lane. And it's to drop it to 25 miles per hour. Item 4C. Excuse me, 5C, my bad. So the public hearing is set for October 28th at 5:30 PM in the Supervisors' Chambers. As you'll recall, Anthony, I'll give a little background and then I'll turn it over to you. They brought forward a petition signed by 100% of the property owners. It's basically a short road, more of a subdivision setting, and it was a higher speed limit. And the folks there were asking about reducing it to 35. And then when they brought it forward, our discussion was, if it's a subdivision, most of our subdivisions have 25-mile-an-hour speed limits. So why not look at, if we're gonna change it, let's change it to what it should be. The property owners apparently have agreed with that and are bringing it back. And I'm assuming they've all signed off again, but do you wanna give us a report?
Yeah, this discussion came up about a month or so ago. I decided to contact, kind of the lead on this project has been Ron Breitbach, who is one of the landowners out there, and he's the one that kind of facilitated this petition. He originally got the 35 mile per hour petition put together, and then we had the discussion that it really fits more of a subdivision street, and to stick with that standard, that would be typically a 25 mile per hour zone. So he went back and got this petition re-signed by everybody for the recommendation for 25 miles per hour. And that's basically where we're at now.
Okay. And this is this would be a public hearing on October 28th at 5:30 PM.
I'll make a motion to approve the notice of public hearing for speed limit change on Herod Lane.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to schedule the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. All right. Item 5D, public hearing, proposed vacation of county road right-of-way. Now, I didn't have that in my Dropbox. I don't know if, I have a question mark here and a note that says not in the Dropbox, so I didn't have.
I thought I read it. I was near Rickardsville. Right?
All right, so let me
So
get the
7H is the
information here.
document. This is just the public hearing.
Okay. So this is,
Aye.
under 5D.
When is the public hearing? Is it, do you have the document? Oh, this is the public hearing for the proposed vacation.
All
Thank
right.
you. I'm with you now. Not a notice.
Motion, I'd like to have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open the public hearing on the proposed vacation of county road right-of-way. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are in public hearing. If anyone from the public would like to speak on this matter, feel free to approach the podium at this time. See no one heading from the podium, but Anthony, if you'd like to during the public hearing. Go ahead and give us an update.
Sure, I'll give you a quick summary here. So the landowners here in this section of Petersburg Road, this would be west of Indiana, right before basically the county line is this vertical running line right here. The request has been made to us to vacate the old road bed or old easement that used to go this way and then turn up at a 90-degree angle. Some years ago, the county came in and purchased right away and built this curve going around to the north there. And we have left this portion or this little triangular easement here that is no longer needed for the county purposes. We plotted out an area here for 40 foot from center line. Proposed right away that is pretty much all we need through this corner. So the area of vacated easement that we're looking at is just in this little triangular region here. 40-foot easement from center line of road going around the corner.
Okay.
And why do we want to vacate it?
It's an area that's obviously being used by the farmer right there by the farm. It's not something that we need anymore, and to get it back on the tax scrolls, that currently it's easement that's not being taxed, so it might as well be vacated back to the landowner and be actually a part of the tax system here.
And has the landowner asked for this?
Yes, they have.
Okay, did you want to speak on it or anything? I think Anthony's covered it, but if you do, you'd have to go to the podium and give us your name and address, please.
And I should state, it's Adam Raker, the surveyor, is the one that came to us with this request for the landowner.
Okay,
My name is Judith R. Welling, 32860 Petersburg Road, Naviana, Iowa. The farm that's shown in the picture is our farm.
okay.
And we would like that vacated so that the next time we want to put up a structure or a drying bin, that we can do that on that piece of property, because right now I mow it. So
Right.
that's where we're looking at.
Because of the easement, you're not able to fully utilize that property.
We can't fully utilize it, we can't
Right.
build a bin there. That farm has been in my family for 150 years. And so we would like
Congratulations.
to, yeah, we just got a Heritage Farm plaque for it in August.
Nice.
But we would like to be able to use that, so if we need to put up another drying bin or whatever we need there, because right now the things that are built there are built very carefully. We've had it surveyed, so we're not building anything on things that don't belong to us.
Okay,
Do you remember when the road went as
No, I'm
a
not
square?
quite that old.
I didn't know when it was. I didn't know if it was
Grandfather.
20 years ago.
That would be my grandfather, but I know when it's very dry out, we can see where the culvert is.
Okay.
For that right angle turn, and see, then the road went up into Delaware County and made another right angle turn going the other direction. So that curve affected that too, but that's not bothering anybody, so.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you bringing this to our attention, and we've got a lot of parcels out there, so we're pleased that you brought this to our attention so that we can correct it.
We would appreciate it if you would vacate it for us.
of course, thank you.
Okay, if you do vacate it for us, do we receive paperwork on it or anything, or?
Pretty much, as soon as this is signed by the board or if they approve the resolution, it's automatic. It just becomes
Okay, so
we
then-
release our right to have easement on it, so it's just automatically yours.
so then our
You're already the underlying landowner. We just release our rights on it.
Okay, so then our surveyor can go ahead and do whatever he has
Yes.
to do. We can continue.
It would show up in your title. It would show up in the legal filings about your real estate. So when a search was made or anything, they'd see this resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Mary, when we get to 7H,
Thank you, Judith.
assuming we approve that, would we be able to get that signed for them right away, or will it have to wait? Well, we could take a minute and, yeah, we may be able to get that signed during the, when that comes up on the agenda. We could take a minute and sign that for you. Okay. All right, so this was the public hearing. We're still in public hearing on item 5D, which is the vacation of county road right-of-way.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think the action then would be deferred to 7H. So, all right, item 5E on the agenda is public hearing, amendment to zoning ordinance. Case 1, the first case is case ZC number 09-25-19. Eugene and Connie Duschner, A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential.
Okay, so the applicants are requesting a zone from A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential, 1.97 acres to allow the daughter and the future son-in-law to continue to assist in the dairy farm operation. The property is located 0.50 miles west of the city of Epworth along Hartbeck Road. It's legally described as the northwest of the southeast, section 9, T88 North, R1W, Taylor Township, Dubuque County, Iowa. This property is owned by Eugene and Connie Duschner. Zoning in the area includes A1 agricultural residential to the north, the south, the east, and west, M2 heavy industrial to the south, M1 industrial to the west. The M2 heavy industrial to the south on zoning case number 0724 of 16 was to allow for organic compost facility. The M1 industrial to the west on zoning case number 0414 of 02 was to allow for a multi-recreational facility. There are no special use permits attached to this property, and there are no previous rezoning cases attached to this property. 8 rezoning notification letters were sent to the property owners, and the city of Epworth was notified. Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 9, Agriculture and Natural Resources, page 134, Objective 3.1, and Chapter 8, Housing, page 122, Objective 12.7 may apply to this case. So this is, they've acquired this farm, and I'll show you here so you can see what they're trying to do. There was a home on this farm at one time. There is not right now. So the intent is for the daughter to build a home back on this farm and allow her to continue with the farming operation. The family owns hundreds of acres in the area that they do farm the whole area. So that's the intent.
Any questions for,
Tammy, the multi-recreational area kind of
Okay, so what
popped
that,
out. What is that?
Okay,
Is
so
that
what
the school?
that
or-
was, no, it was the, you know when they had the indoor track out there?
Oh, that's what it's called.
That was zoned for
Okay,
at that time.
okay, I get it. Okay, sure.
okay,
Big fancy term for a cement pop-up building.
But that's what the use was.
Okay, I understand now. I remember that.
any questions for our planning and zoning director, Tammy Henry?
Nope.
Okay, entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Oh, so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak on this matter, please do so. Give your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewster, I assume you would like to speak on it.
Yeah, my daughter works for
Give your
me.
name and address for,
Jean Duschner, 25364 Duschner Lane, Farley. This property's about 2 miles away from my farm. And since there's a house on and stuff, they just kind of thought it'd be a nice place to put a new one up. And she's only 2 miles away from me to come to work and stuff. That's about it, I guess.
okay. All right, thank you for that. Any questions for Mr. Duschner? All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? If so, please approach the podium at this time.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the zoning request.
Second.
motion made and seconded to approve the zoning request. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'll make a motion to suspend the requirement this amendment be considered and voted on for passage at 2 prior meetings.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to suspend the requirement that the amendment be considered and voted on for passage at 2 prior meetings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion that the amendment be adopted and that the zoning administrator be directed to enter the appropriate changes on the official zoning map and that the auditor be directed to arrange for the publication of the amendment and portion of the official zoning map as amended in the official county newspaper as required by law.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
is approved. Next, we have, under item F, public hearing. This is item 5F, amendment to zoning ordinance, case 2. The case number is ZC number 09-26-19. Rita Mae Reniker Estate and Chris and Tim Reniker, A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential. And we turn it over to our zoning administrator, Tammy Henry.
Okay, the applicants are requesting a zone from A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural residential, 1 acre to transfer the home to 4 family members living in the home to settle Rita Mae's estate and to allow for the sale of the crop ground to another family member. The property is located 2.49 miles southeast of the city of Epworth along Pilot Grove Road and is legally described as the southeast of the southwest, section 19, T88 North, R1E, Vernon Township, Dubuque County, Iowa. This property is owned by Rita Mae Reniker Estate. Zoning in the area includes A1 agricultural to the north, south, east, and to the west. A2 agricultural residential to the south. The A2 agricultural residential to the south on zoning case number ZC 08-17 of 15 was to rezone 1.7 acres. There are no special use permits attached to this property, and there are no previous rezoning cases attached to this property. 3 rezoning notification letters were sent to the property owners. Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 9, Agricultural and Natural Resources, page 134, Objective 3.1, and Chapter 8, Housing, page 122, Objective 12.7 may apply to this case. So here's the area that's going to be rezoned, but there will be a simple plat filed because it'll be this first split up of 40, and they will acquire the rest of this area, and they will continue to farm with that. But the rest of the farm is going to be sold to another family member. The Renikers own all of that farm ground.
Okay, any questions for Tammy?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to open the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on this matter in the public hearing, please approach the podium and do so, and please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Name's Chris Reniker, 32351 Evergreen Road, Strawberry Point, Iowa. This here is basically to settle the estate that's in their will, that they get the house and 10 acres. So that's basically what we're doing.
Sorry for the loss of your mother.
Right, yeah.
Gary Reniker, 27339 Bernard Road. I'm the purchaser of the rest of the farm. And Chris just stated is what we're doing.
Okay. Any questions for the Renikers? All right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Public hearing is open. If you're going to speak, please give your name and address for the record. Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public
I'll make a
hearing.
motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve the rezoning.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the rezoning. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
Make a motion to suspend the requirement that this amendment be considered and voted on for passage at 2 prior meetings.
I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
I'll make a motion that the amendment be adopted and that the zoning administrator be directed to enter the appropriate changes on the official zoning map, that the auditor be directed to arrange for the publication of the amendment and portion of the official zoning map as amended in the official county newspapers as required by law.
I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. It is approved.
Thank
you.
Thank you. Say hi to Bruce for me when you see him.
I'll see him.
Wait.
All right, next, we're moving to item 6 on the agenda, which is approval of plats. So 6A is a resolution, final plat, Bogey Farm subdivision, Plat 2, Section 1, Jefferson Township.
Okay. The property is owned by Michael Bogie and it's located 0.75 miles north of the city of Farley along Prier Road with a total of 50.67 acres surveyed. This property is zoned A1 agricultural and A2 agricultural residential. A rezoning of 1.62 acres to A2 agricultural residential was approved on zoning case number 0516 of 19, and that was to allow for this platting. The purpose of this plat is to separate the 1.62 acres with the home from the rest of the farm. The survey creates 2 lots. Lot 1 is a total of 1.62 acres, surveyed with the home and farm buildings, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 2 is a total of 49.05 acres surveyed with farm buildings, and it will remain in current ownership and agricultural use. Lot 1 will use an existing residential access off of Prier Road, and Lot 2 will have access across Lot 1. There were no additions or corrections required for this plat. The mortgage holder's acknowledgements are signed and attached, and some of the signatures are over 60 days old, and they include the surveyor of June 24th, 2019, City of Farley, June 18th, 2019, County Planning and Zoning, July 16th of 2019. This plat has been reviewed by myself as Plats Officer, and it has all the required signatures. I respectfully recommend approval. So this is coming from the after of a rezoning, and so what you can see here is they're creating this lot up here, which is around the existing stuff up in here, okay? And this was one that, again, came through a rezoning.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Any questions for Tammy?
Amy, what is the blue shaded area?
That would be a water area. So that is gonna be any of the floodplain coming through here. So that's anywhere that says in a 100-year flood, that could flood.
Okay, looking for.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented, the plat as presented in the resolution.
Motion to approve the plat as presented and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Next up is 6B, resolution, final plat, Star View subdivision, 3rd edition, section 10-Peru Township.
So, okay. This property is owned by Terrence and Catherine Nauman and John Priest and Patricia Belois, and it's located 3.93 miles northeast of the city of Sherrill along Starview Drive and Mud Lake Road. The property is zoned R1 rural residential and R3 single-family residential, with a total of 5.173 acres surveyed. The purpose of this plat is to add additional land to John and Patricia's property. The survey creates 2 lots. Lot 1 is a total of 2.454 acres surveyed with a home and will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 2 is a total of 2.719 acres surveyed with a home, and it will remain in current ownership and use. Lot 1 will use an existing residential access off of Mud Lake Road, and Lot 2 will use an existing residential access off of Starview Drive. There were no corrections or additions required for this plat. There are no liens or mortgages on the property. This plat has been reviewed by myself as Plats Officer and has all the required signatures. I respectfully recommend approval. So here's what this as you can see, this is one parcel right here, and the owners own this property here. What they're trying to do is basically own this hillside so they can maintain that property so as the rocks and things fall down, so that they're taking responsibility for it. And so, they're all in agreement of it, and it makes sense, actually. Because rocks have actually went down and rolled into the older home there.
Any questions for Tammy?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat.
Motion to approve the final plat, is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, is there any discussion on this motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. Item 7 on the agenda, action items. Thank you, Tammy. We have under 7A, resolution, appointment of deputies, assistants, and clerks. And we have, we'll go to Human Resource Director Don Sherman for these. We have several Sunnycrest positions. We have the CEO for the MHDS region, Sheriff's Department, Maintenance, and Health.
Yeah, so specifically the position for the region, through that recruitment process with the region, it was decided that the residency of the candidate, the appointed candidate, that would be the county who would become the fiscal agent for any employment cost for that. So she becomes a Dubuque County employee, but all of the expenses associated with her employment will be fully reimbursed through the region. And I know our budget director, Stella Rundy, had discussed that briefly during the budget amendment as well. So these, all of her employment costs, county paid taxes, IPERS, wages, supplies, any costs associated with her employment will be reimbursed by the region.
Is there any additional cost on our, like, liability insurance? I know there would be on work comp. Okay. Right?
Question I had is do we have any, and maybe Supervisor McDonough can fill me in, do we have any minutes or any other documents that say we should authorize this hire and this expenditure? I know we have the resume, I know we sent her an acceptance letter, but I don't see anything from the region that tells us to do this. And is there any documents? I mean, was there?
The only document that I had, and I had forwarded to you, was a synopsis of the recruitment process from the recruitment firm that was hired by the region.
But not the government body.
That's
So
correct.
maybe were you at the meeting and was there a vote to hire May? I'm very excited that she's in Dubuque, by the way. I've not met her, but, you know, I looked at her resume and I know she's been serving in the Dubuque Community School District. So I'm very excited to have a local representative. But procedurally, I'm just I feel awkward that we don't have any documents from the region authorizing this board to do this.
We did have a formal vote the night that we made, and I can get the date for that, and we could certainly get the minutes. Jones County kept the minutes of that meeting. So Jones County is actually our chair of the governing region, the regional governing board. And that synopsis would have been, I think, Dawn, in your minutes, in terms of just the hiring procedure, the date that the offer was made. I mean, we could certainly get something for you. Her date of employment is October 24th, so we're.
Are those? So, I mean, I don't want to hold it up, but I just,
Right.
you know, the
There
region.
was a formal vote to make the offer to her.
Yeah, I just wish we would have had that, and I requested that 2 weeks ago as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Jody Jansen should be able to get that for us.
I
would think.
did send her that email as well, so,
Today.
okay. So,
I did not know that you were looking for that.
yeah, and I don't know, maybe are they published online at all? Do you know our minutes and stuff? The minutes of those regional meetings? I mean, the region, mental health region, Supervisor Klein served on it before. I'm very pleased that you're serving on it now, so I'm just kind of in the dark about that.
The minutes are not going to be, they're pending minutes, they're approved the following month, as all things are, so
You know if they're published to a website at all or anything like that, or?
the region has a website. I don't know if the minutes are published to that.
Maybe I'll just quick search it. What?
I can tell you that the May Hinchin, I did run into her at the stakeholders meeting. She was there in person, and looking forward to taking this new career, new challenge on. She seems very, very bright, and I think we'll be well served having her in this position from Dubuque County.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Right,
They wouldn't have been approved yet, I don't
Right.
think, is what Ann had pointed out, which is
I can tell you that I was
typical.
personally at the meeting and participated, obviously, in the interviews, and then that motion was made. I'm at the conclusion of that.
Yeah.
So the previous CEO, Michelle Don't,
Don, do you know the dates that you were gone? You know, I mean, it's all becomes a blur to me. What dates were you out? And Tracy had to help me put together the letter of the offer. You'd think those days would be etched forever in my mind, but, and then she was approved again on the 19th of, on the 26th of September. But I think it was the 17th, maybe?
The 18th. So your meeting was the 17th.
Correct. So we would have made the offer of hire the 18th, 19th, she accepted it on the 20th. So I think the meeting was on September 19th of the interview and the formal vote made that she was going to be offered the position. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, or if
I
there's
guess I'm
something
looking,
else.
you know, we've, you know, for every other, you know, well-compensated executive in a leadership position, we've had multiple interviews, and I haven't even met this candidate.
Correct.
And nor has the board even met it. And so I think
Well,
it's
I
maybe an
haven't-
opportunity to, and I know you have,
Right.
it's maybe an opportunity just to reflect that we could have maybe done this better. You know, the board could have been introduced to Mrs. Hinchin. We could have got familiar with her. We could have saw the minutes and notes authorizing this board to make this expenditure. And so I have none of those in front of me. And so I'm thinking maybe for the future, we could do that.
Well, it was all very public, and I participated in no fewer than 9 human resources. You know, I've been at this for the summer. And
Agreed.
so multiple interviews. We use Skywalk Group out of Cedar Rapids. I'm one of 9 supervisors who serve on that board. So
Agreed. I just didn't get to share any of that, nor did this board, and it's in front of me for $120,000 a year, and I've never met the candidate, and I don't see any of those notes. So if somebody would have just provided those, and I've asked those for the last meeting and this meeting, and I still do not have those.
And I'm sorry, I certainly could have coordinated all of that. After our last meeting, you know, you'll recall that it was up on the board, and our reporter at that time knew May Hinchin. It was like, oops, it was out right there. Story being written about someone who had not yet made, I don't think, the notice being made to her own employer. So we could have had she's been at public meetings. She, I'm sure, would be happy to come in. Dawn, have you had contact with her about office arrangements?
Yes,
We're working on
meeting
that?
tomorrow afternoon. I did
Is that your
ask-
first meeting with her, second, third?
No, this is my first meeting with her. that
Okay,
we
because I
connected.
might enjoy being that as we discuss expenses, it'll be office expenses, so.
It'll be tomorrow afternoon. I can send you that information. I did ask if she was able to come today. She still is working at her previous job and had her last executive meeting today. so
And her
she
first
decided
day
to
of
go
work
to-
is actually the next regional governing board meeting. I imagine she'll spend that in Cedar Rapids, where I will be. The whole day, we're down in Cedar Rapids with meetings about mental health.
Yeah, and I'm, wanting us to move forward on this. I think, having Dawn Sherman as a senior professional here in HR, that's a missed opportunity that you have not met her either until just this last. Yeah, you haven't formally met her, the board hasn't formally met her. We've got a $120,000 expenditure with no documents, and so maybe as we move forward, anyone that we hire that's appearing for us in legal documents that, is in this leadership position, I would expect you would present and get to the board to make sure that we're comfortable with that expenditure.
That's a good idea. And also, this will be the only unique thing that happens like this, obviously from the region. She's the only regional employee. So it is a unique, and the previous regional employee who had this position retired, and she was previously in Lynn County. So this is a unique, this is a first of. And I think it goes to the point well taken about how do we present, actually, I would say probably a lot of HR things, retirements, lots of things the board doesn't hear about, so. all good
I would
things.
like to see what kind of documentation or contract that the region had with the previous CEO, with Michelle Don't, if indeed that was public, which I believe it must be. And then we would have to develop, I believe, such a document. I think we need, I agree with Supervisor Wickham, we need some form of documentation. I'm excited that the CEO is gonna be from Dubuque County and reside in Dubuque County. So, all right,
This is truly, this is an example of the failure of this board to be able to communicate. All of those things could have so easily been done and haven't been done. I carry all those documents with me normally. So the fact that you're making this request is the fact that this doesn't work well. We as three people don't function as we meet twice a month to try to go through these things. We don't have even the time to get together to line up what it is you want to see. And yet I've spent the whole summer on this. So, and as you say, we've got this amazing person hired. So, we have to have better way to communicate between the three of us about how we're gonna do the county's business. Because we shouldn't be stumbling over this. This is a great opportunity for our county, for our residents. And, and that's, I guess, we'll go to that and when we get to a work session about how can we communicate better with some kind of ground rules and procedures and expectations. So,
one thing with a board of three, we're not allowed to discuss it. So we, the people who attend and watch our meetings get an unfiltered version, which is unlike many other governmental bodies and agencies. So we're having, I think, the discussion that we need to have, and we can, at a future meeting, we can review the documents. I assume that our Human Resource Director is recommending this. It's the second time it's appeared on our agenda. And I've actually met her in action, and Ms. Hinchin, and looking forward to having her in the position, so.
So am I. The other comment I will make is very excited to have Colin Dolphin come on board as far as our water testing. So I've been seeing that we've been probably deficient in doing the number of well testings throughout the county to receive 100% reimbursement from the state, and then also to give us an adequate picture of the level of water quality in our wells. So I'm very excited that that's a first-time, full-time position, and appreciate my board colleagues in supporting that. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the appointments of deputies, assistants, and clerks as presented.
second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. All right, we've got the In 7B, it's a resolution approving statement of final completion and owner's acceptance of work for the shooting range project. The amount of the contract upon completion, $691,668.21. Is there anyone speak on this? I don't see Sheriff Kennedy or Chief Deputy Reniker. They were here. But we had the, basically the opening and with some tours of the shooting range. It's a really nice facility and pretty impressive facility, which is, I think, what our law enforcement professionals in Dubuque County deserve.
Did this document come from Stager or MSA or the Sheriff's Department? Does anybody know?
Came through Denise.
Probably through one, or the Drug Task Force, one of the. Did you attend to the open house?
I did.
Did Sheriff Kennedy and the group seem satisfied?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
I will second it. Motion made and seconded.
Discussion.
Open for discussion.
As I understand this, this is our acceptance, saying that the final work is done and that we're signing off on this. Is that your understanding as well? And I'm
Generally.
uncomfortable doing that without somebody here to tell me about it. Because I don't know that it's done. And I don't know that he's apparently the sheriff's making a recommendation that we do this. Normally, I would expect to have the sheriff be present in the room to tell us about this. We're making our final sign off on the work of almost $700,000 worth of work for a shooting range. I'm not gonna be able to vote on this because I don't know.
Denise to come in?
Pardon?
She's the one that submitted the resolution. Do you want Denise
Why don't we get Denise in here? Would that help?
Is that gonna help us know that it's done better? Is that how projects are done like that? Do we just sign off because it gets submitted by the auditor?
They had a grand opening which I attended. That would be an indication that it's done and open, and they are actually using it. They must be using it because we actually had a complaint from somebody who was involved in a lawsuit, but they found out that they were actually hunters that were making the noise that day, not the shooting range.
Sure. I mean, I generally would agree that I would like the sheriff here related to, you know, a project this large, and he has been in multiple times, and so maybe it's the impression that the project is complete and it's done and they're using it, that he didn't see that this was an important item to present.
I think we're gonna get Denise in here, maybe she can shed some light on it. And can we have somebody try to reach out to Sheriff Kennedy?
regarding the shooting solution?
My question is, the documents that came forward, were they submitted through MSA, through
Ask you to go to the
Stager?
podium. We'll get some information so everyone can hear.
Thank you for coming over, appreciate it.
The closeout was prepared by the engineer.
Most likely, MSA,
I think that's who it was.
I think was listed. And so MSA forwarded these documents to you as our representative?
Yes.
Yeah, as architect, so, okay. So I feel comfortable with that. That's their role, to represent the county in this project, similar to FEH and our other projects.
Well, and if the sheriff and I didn't feel comfortable with it, we wouldn't have put it on.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Denise, I reported that they had a grand opening, which was, attended by several. I don't know the exact count, but I was one of them. It's a nice facility. Looks like it's done to me.
Yeah.
So, If,
We have a motion and a second. and we're in
I'll make a
discussion.
motion. I'll
Oh,
make a
no,
mo-
no, I think we
We
did. We're in
did.
discussion.
We're waiting for the vote.
oh, all right,
Call the question.
all right. All in favor of approving the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried, 3-0. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
All right. The next item would be the 7C, resolution approving the contract with Floor Show Companies for courthouse carpet replacement. And we have our maintenance superintendent, Chris Soder. The low bid, $71,952. Chris, do you have anything, any comments on this? Pretty straightforward, 2 bids. This is the low bid, 2 reputable contractors.
Yep, and this will finalize the flooring project in the courthouse.
Okay, any questions for Chris?
When do you expect it to be completed? When do you expect it to be completed?
By April. Well, we've got a 6 to 8 week lead time on materials, and then we've got to work around office schedules and stuff too. So it's gonna take a little bit longer just because of that.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Make a motion to approve the resolution?
Maybe just another question. Your proposed start date was October 28th and proposed work duration is 30 days. Do you want to change that based upon what you just said?
Yeah, we can change that. That's simple enough. Information I had originally received from the contractors was different than after a receipt than what I had given them to work with.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I would like the motion to change the duration of the days, otherwise we're approving a document that says it's going to be done in
I'll withdraw
November.
my motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution with the pending change of the start and ending dates to be determined by the maintenance manager, Chris Soder.
Second.
okay, motion made and seconded as to amend the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0. Next up, 7D, resolution approving the chair to sign a FEMA subaward agreement amendment for William Dean property acquisition.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. 3-0. All right, 7E is a resolution approving the amendment to offer to buy real estate and acceptance from the city of Dubuque regarding Flex Steel.
Chair, we do have Dave Lyons
I
from Greater Dubuque Development.
see Mr. Lyons is present. You want to come forward, David?
Do you have any paperwork on this? It wasn't included in the packet.
I didn't see it in the,
So we'll need to give it to our reporter, if we not have, do you have that, sir? Nope,
You'll get nothing like it.
and we don't have the county attorney present.
county attorney said he would be available if we need to call him. Would you like him to be called? Yes. Okay, there's a request that we contact County Attorney May.
Want to take Dave Lyons first, or no?
Sure, it's up to you,
Whatever.
I think
I'd
we
like
gotta
to
work
have
it
him
all out.
overview
All
it.
right, David, do you want to give us the overview?
And I've seen it for right now.
Hi, David Lyons. I'm a Sustainable Innovations Consultant with Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. In relationship to this project, I was also kind of the project manager between the various parties that worked on the Flex Steel redevelopment agreement. If you'll recall, the original undertaking was a, if I can provide,
This
the
is
original
new to me,
undertaking.
all of it's new.
The original undertaking was for a collaboration of private and public entities to assure the development and continuation of employment by Flex Steel in this community. The 100-year-plus old facility at the north end on 32nd Street had outlived its usefulness. A new plant had to be built. At the time that that discussion was underway, there was a collaboration developed between the city of Dubuque, the County of Dubuque, Dubuque Initiatives, which is a nonprofit 501c3 development corporation here locally, Flex Steel Corporation, and the state of Iowa. A package was put together with three intentions. The first is to develop a new manufacturing facility in the new industrial park, which has been completed, has opened, is operating. The second was to avoid a blight on the north end of Dubuque, which can sometimes happen with the closure of older plants. That's underway now. There has been a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessment done, and remediation activity is already occurring on that site. The third issue was the bit more complicated issue, and that was the funding for the redevelopment of that site as it transferred to a nonprofit entity, Dubuque Initiatives. And that redevelopment agreement would have had funding from the city, from the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and from the county. And in fact, the county would, under this agreement, be making a $300,000 investment each year for 7 years until a total of $3 million was invested. The first two of the objectives has been accomplished. The third is going to be approached differently. Flex Steel Industries has decided to retain the property and will redevelop it itself. With that decision, then Dubuque Initiatives, the city, the county, and the state are no longer liable for the pledge of financial assistance that was brought forward. So the documents in front of you are really a culmination of that process. The city, Dubuque Initiatives, and Flex Steel have already signed off on the termination of the redevelopment agreement, which means they'll be retaining the property, which also then requires that we revisit the sales agreement between the city and the county, as that was the funding mechanism for the county dollars to go in. The outcome is that, it is as simple the terms as possible. Flex Steel will retain the property and have the responsibility of remediation, cleanup, and redevelopment. The county will receive back the financing it has provided to date, two $300,000 investments that went into the city escrow and the county escrow. That will be returned with interest, and then the amendment provides that the county is no longer liable for future payments.
And I see that we're the last signature on one of the contracts, so the city, Dubuque Initiatives, and Flex Steel has agreed to this.
Yep. The group that worked on the legal documents that were provided about 3 months ago when we first started developing this termination approach, and then when it was completed, included Flint Drake, who was attorney for Dubuque Initiatives, Barry Lindahl, who was the attorney for the city of Dubuque, CJ May, who was the attorney for the county, and Paul Sigworth, who was the attorney for Flex Steel.
And I did meet with CJ on this. Obviously, we have a 3-person board. I can't directly discuss it with my counterparts until we get into public session. But CJ was very comfortable with this. There's some questions about, what the motives are with Flex Steel. Everybody kind of scratching their head, I think. One thing you'll note, the signatory from Flex Steel was not part of the discussions, and I don't think there's anybody left in their management team that was part of the decision-making to build the new plant. That's not our issue. We have over 200 jobs that are here because of the actions that the partners, city and GDDC and Dubuque County, I think to a smaller part NICC was involved, in Dubuque Initiatives. So, it was successful since then. And I remember some of the discussion was, if Flex Steel decides that they're gonna close facilities, if we have a brand new facility here, they're more likely to keep it open. That was prophetic. They've closed at least 2 plants, one in California, one in Arkansas, I believe. So we have the shiny new factory that's owned and operated by Flex Steel, so.
That certainly improved the position for the community of Dubuque. And I would like to note, particularly for Supervisor McDonough, this is a situation where at the end of the day, there were no additional outlay of investment required from the county as far as financing. But that shouldn't downplay the importance that the role the county played in the original conversations about the building of the new facility and the avoiding of blight on the north end. So while there aren't any financial implications to the county with the dollars being returned with interest, your support in this process was certainly critical to the success we saw.
So is it imperative that we take action today?
The process for taking action on this is kind of a series of events. The first was Dubuque Initiatives, and Flex Steel needed to approve it for the termination agreement to end. The second issue was for the city to approve it because as the primary contractee, it needed to approve all changes before it was brought to you for consideration. Next week, the Iowa Economic Development Authority would meet, and so to have all of our documents ready for that, that would be the preference of all the parties.
It's unfortunate that it wasn't in our agenda packet. I don't know why that didn't get to us earlier. It was given to me, I guess, maybe right at 8:30 this morning, and I haven't had a chance to read it, which is usually not how I operate. I like to read things. I don't have my county attorney present. He sent just a short email, so forth. And so, my motion, I'm not making a motion, but my course of business would be to table this until all those things happen. But my colleagues have been in this from the beginning, so, I'm not making that motion. If you think you need to proceed, the motion will have to come from one of you.
Is the county attorney unavailable? Sure.
Correct.
Okay.
Did we try to call him? Yeah, let's try to call him. He sent an email saying he was available, right?
On my phone? Super duper phone. So yeah, we're trying to get them. I mean, I think
You
three-
can go forward if you wish. I'm not going to vote no, but
yeah,
I'm
three
not, certainly
good
don't feel
things
like
about
we're
the
ready.
project. One, the new facility is up and running. Secondly, county got all their money back, 600,000 plus interest, and also we're no longer obligated for the additional 1.4 for a total of 2 million. And then the last piece we picked up, thanks to David Lyons, 3.8 acres that we now have our new shop on. So, and the county, the city was kind enough to put that as a $0 amount.
Right.
And I have quickly breezed through these documents just in the last hour or so, but I also share your frustration that I wish we had those earlier.
Yeah, I wish they would have been in the Dropbox as well.
Did we get a copy for the reporter? Yes. Okay, very good.
He doesn't know we're calling, does he? Okay. You mind? Are you gonna direct the call?
What's that?
You can answer the call? Okay, no message. Okay.
Hi, you've reached
I
the
would
voice
just hang up.
mailbox
Yeah.
of 5.3.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, there's a motion made to approve the resolution as presented. Is there a second? I will second it. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Is there any abstentions?
Aye.
She abstained. 2-0 to 1. Okay, it is approved. Thank you, David.
Looks fairly standard, what I would expect to see.
Okay, we have item 7F, resolution approving the use of county technology policy. And Dawn, do you have a report on?
Yes, so I worked with our IT director, Nathan Gilmore, to, really, we just did a brand-new policy regarding how county employees utilize email, internet, and we did that. We looked at best practices, we looked at other policies. So when we had it in our final draft form, we sent it out to the elected officials and department heads to receive feedback. We had a meeting as well. Our county attorney was not able to attend that meeting, but afterwards I met with him on both of these policies to get his feedback. And so these are presented to you with all of those parties review and recommend this approval of this one.
Any questions for Dawn?
I think I actually was able to attend part of one of these meetings. So it was good discussion, and people were present and had, the directors of that had good points. Make a motion to approve.
I will second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution in 7F. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's carried, 3-0. 7G, resolution approving the county website and social media policy.
So again, on this, I did develop this with our IT director as we begin to move forward with our new website that we're looking at. We just started those meetings. And as well as hearing feedback from you as a board wanting some more social media presence. So we did want to put a policy in place for that of who's responsible for that. We also want to put we put language in there of how we would remove comments, because that's very important as a government entity. Again, reviewed that with our county attorney, our elected officials, and our department heads. And what you have before you is the final draft of following all of that.
Okay. What's your pleasure on the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution 7G. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0. 7H is the aforementioned vacation of portion of right-of-way on Petersburg Road. And there's a...
We had a public hearing on that, so thank you for your patience. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Carried, 3-0.
Thank you.
We'll get through the other resolutions here. 7I, resolution to approve snow and ice removal 2080 agreement with the city of Rickardsville for the 2019-2020 winter.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the resolution in 7I. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The amount of that was $3,685, by the way. Item 7J, resolution approving the quote from Dittmer Recycling for courthouse recycling and trash collection in the amount of $2,160.
Motion to approve.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0. Item 8 is communications. And we have a proof of publication, zoning hatch maps. So we need action on approving the proof of publication.
I'll make a motion to approve the proof of publication for the zoning cases.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0. Item 8B is the HUD lead-based paint hazard control grant award. And do we have anybody here for this?
No, there's no one here. Do you have someone here to talk about this?
No, we will be doing a presentation later this week.
Right,
Right.
okay.
I think this is where definitely we're stopping to make note of, though. This is a big deal. This is a $3 million grant that the county is pulling down with ECIA's help to do lead abatement in homes throughout the small cities and towns and the unincorporated areas. That's never been done before in rural Dubuque County. So this is a big deal. The cities and towns are excited, and the quality, the eligibility and the program itself will be administered by ECIA, but the mayors have been, I've certainly done a lot of legwork in trying to get this prepared to come to the board so we could actually do the application itself. So this is a big deal. This is news, and I'm delighted that HUD's coming. I am asking them to schedule it so that I will be available. So it's right now scheduled for Wednesday. It conflicts with the time I have. I'm hoping that it will be moved to Thursday at 1 o'clock, so I can be there as well. Because I think, you know, just talking to the new mayor of New Vienna over the weekend and letting him be aware that this has happened, it's exciting news. The amount of lead acceptable in a child's system is 0. And so we have homes that we know are blighted and don't meet safety standards with children present in them in the county. So it's exciting. The city routinely does this, and our Department of Health is excited about it as well.
Right.
I absolutely agree, and appreciate your leadership on this, and thank you for that. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, approve the control grant award, receive and file, I guess, the grant award
There's a motion
document.
to receive and file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have under 8C, harm reduction strategies. This is from Mercy One. It's the report from Mercy One, harm reduction strategies in Dubuque County, assessing community need and readiness report.
And that is another one that I think, you know, we certainly will receive and file, but it is worth noting the significance of the completed document. And just to let my colleagues know, our subcommittee, the Board of Health, has a subcommittee that looks at opioid issues and our response as a county about those issues. And I think they're addressing to us some perhaps targeted, some correspondence about what they might recommend we do next. So though, you know, my motion will be to receive and file, I think it's intended to come back up again and for us to look at it through specific sections or action items, so.
I agree, and I believe that this will be very helpful as we move forward, as you said, with the opioid subcommittee from our Department of Health, and also, I think the opioid response team. I think that this is a good guide, it's good information, and I think, you know, it's well done. I think this report was well done, and I think it'll be a good resource as we continue this battle in the opioid crisis and in harm reduction endeavors.
Yeah, I'd like to acknowledge 3 people on or 3 groups, the Board of Health for leading this. Representative Eisenhardt, who's here, was a champion for this cause over a year ago to get an entity to create the document and the study, so I appreciate your help. And then finally for Mercy One to take this on. You know, there still is a paraphernalia law within Iowa, and so sometimes it's difficult for entities and large entities like Mercy One and certainly governments to go against that, to still do the research and do the understanding to potentially make changes that are against state law. So appreciate everyone's courage on that.
Okay.
Make a motion to receive and file.
I will second that.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Okay, item 8D is the FY19 annual report of the Dubuque County Library District.
Wonderful report as always. I'll make a motion to receive and file.
I'm going to second it. It was an exciting report to read.
I agree. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. 3-0. Item, I wasn't sure if this was in the appropriate spot, but I guess it's a communication. It's a letter of resignation. This is 8E from the Sunnycrest Advisory Board from Merle Deer, and resigning due to recent family health matters.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the letter of resignation and appreciate Mule Deer for his service.
Absolutely. Okay, motion to receive and file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. All right. 8F, a letter from the city of Dubuque regarding amended greater downtown urban renewal plan.
Motion to receive and file.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and seconded to receive and file the letter from the city of Dubuque. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. 8G, letter from the city of Dubuque regarding amended Dubuque Industrial Center Economic Development District Urban Renewal Area Plan.
I'll make a motion to receive and file the document.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to receive and file the letter in 8G. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. And we have 8H, annual manure management plan updates for McDermott Farms, number 64599. AAA Pork Site 2, number 70693. Knuth Farms Incorporated. Raker Farm, number 66309. BKK Enterprises Incorporated, number 58773. And change in ownership from Ronald Miller to LNS Cascade. I did not
These weren't in the Dropbox.
see that in the Dropbox. No. So I don't know if we want to table.
I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Okay. Motion to table 8H, and we'll bring that back in 2 weeks. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0 to table. Okay, go to agenda item 9, appointments. And we have Civil Service Commission, one vacancy for a 6-year term ending October 1, 2025. We have the application of Jenny Lee Weiss for the Civil Service Commission.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to approve the application of Jenny Lee Weiss. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. 9A2, Equal Opportunity Committee, one vacancy for an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2022. The application of Miguel Jackson for the Equal Opportunity Committee.
And he'll be the only member of that committee. Don, did you send him some?
Power.
Pardon?
It's a lot of power.
Well, and this is one that nobody's been on for probably more than 10 years. No one, it's been vacant. And Michael talks about that in his application some too, about what the purpose might be, what his role might be. Has anyone had communication with him about that?
He has not requested it, but my plan was once he was approved to this commission that I would reach out to him and start having those discussions with him and other recruitment efforts for the committee as well. But I have not he did not reach out.
Isn't this also the committee we couldn't determine for sure what its purpose was?
Yes, I think that there's some language in a resolution, but it was, like you said, it was over 10 years old. So that's why I would like to just to make contact with the group, which is at this point just one person.
We should do that before we appoint them. If it's something we don't want to, is it necessary? Why do we have it? What's its purpose? It's been vacant an awful long time and no one knows why.
I look at it as, let's get started filling it. And we have somebody interested, I'm inclined to accept this and build from there. And he applied knowing that there was no one serving on the committee. So I think, I'm excited that he applied, and that might be, a notice for Dubuque County to, let's, get this thing filled and staffed. And then they can develop purpose if they will.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a volunteer in the community that wants to serve on a community that's been created by a previous board. I'll also agree, I don't know the great lengths of the Equal Opportunity Committee and the bylaws and all that good stuff, but it's at least a start, and we have a community member that's interested in participating.
Have you found any kind of board structure or committee structure? Have we found anything?
I'd have to go back. I did find when you came on and requested it, so it's been some time. But my recollection of it, the purpose of the committee is to look at internal policies, county policies for recruitment, training, advancement, promotions. And my recollection was it was a committee that really evaluated internal processes and then gave recommendations to the board as well. I believe there may have even been some purchasing type of things, like for small businesses, minority-owned businesses as well. So it was beyond just personnel, it extended to many different operations of the county board.
Okay. I'd like to have this be maybe a tabled item as well that we can come back to. So we can decide what this committee's purpose is. I mean, we can appoint someone, but a person on a committee just hanging out there, one person out of 10, I don't want to have it just be lost. If someone is volunteering their time, I'd like to have some connection with that person. Do one of us have interest in working with that committee?
I mean, I think in his application, he said he would take charge and first work to build the committee with individuals who care about this topic. So I think he's willing to take the initiative to help us create this committee as well, which I think is exactly what you want from your citizens. I'll make a motion to approve the application of Mikkel Jackson for the Equal Opportunity Committee.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the application. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's carried 3-0. Next up is the 9A3, Liberty Township, 1 clerk, vacancy for unexpired term ending December 31, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve Stanley Friedman for the
Stanley
Liberty
Friedman.
Township Clerk.
Second.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Stanley served on our compensation board for some time. Okay, any discussion? All in favor of approving Stanley Friedman for the Liberty Township Clerk? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. All right. 9B is open vacancies on boards and commissions. That's for informational purposes only, and I don't believe we have any. So go to item 10, which is, excuse me, personnel requisitions. 10A, permanent part-time correctional officer. And this is from the Sheriff's Department, obviously. And Dawn, do you have any input on this?
This is a replacement of a part-time employee who resigned, so there are no budget implications and recommend approval.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the correctional officer as a personnel requisition.
Second.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0. 10B, permanent, full-time maintenance worker 1. I assume this is replacing Jake.
Nope, this is due to a
Oh.
retirement. This is out in our roads department.
Oh, this is roads. Oh, okay. I saw maintenance, so, okay. Oh, this is, okay. We have a retirement and filling a maintenance worker position for roads. Under 10B. It's maintenance worker 1. Permanent, full-time. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to approve the personnel requisition for maintenance worker 1.
Second.
Okay. Motion was made and seconded to approve the personnel requisition. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried 3-0. Next up is 10C. We have in the recorders department, we have County Recorder Murphy is here. Deputy Recorder, and I have a question on this one. John, do you want to come forward? Or I have a question on this. It says per bargaining unit contract, but these are not bargaining unit positions, are they? Deputies?
No, it would not be.
So does that need to be corrected then?
So this is, the position that is vacant, that has become vacant is a clerk 4, which is a bargaining on unit 1.
Okay.
The recorder is asking that that position move now up to a deputy recorder, which is a non-bargaining position, correct? But the position that is vacant is a union clerk, clerk 4 position.
But it says salary and wage rate per bargaining unit contract. That would not apply to this request.
That is correct.
Okay. I do have a comment on this, John, because was it a year and a half ago or so? You came to us, it was a different board. It was Supervisor Wickham, myself, and Supervisor Klein. And we approved an additional staff. And the idea was we eliminated the deputy position, and there was some cost savings involved. But now,
So that history.
but why don't you, yeah,
What that history was is when one deputy retired before I came, when they filled that deputy position, they didn't fill the person that actually took that role over. So there was a one full slot, hole up until when Diane Gavin retired just about 2 years ago. When we replaced her spot, we moved a part-time person to a full-time, and then a clerk as well. But we did not fill that deputy position at that time. And it's something that I wanted to try, and after a period of time, determined that I think that our office would be better served having 2 deputies in that office. So that we can have one deputy focusing on our real estate and another deputy focusing on all of our vital records. So we kind of have 2 different areas that they get to focus on. Because our current deputy is, I think we're probably clocking her in for 83, 85 hours a week, but she's just coming in on Saturdays as well to try and keep caught up, and hoping to get her a little bit of relief as well as myself, for staff hours, because we were a couple weeks behind on our real estate for a period of time, and in doing that, we were looking at mandatory overtime for a few of our staff to get caught up. Luckily, we were able to get that done over the weekend, so just hoping that we can avoid that in the future. It's been a pretty busy summer months for us, and I think when you get our quarterly report, I think it's the largest quarterly report that check that we put to the county every month or every quarter, will be the largest I think we've done since I've been here. It's something that we're one of the few, we're less than a dozen self-sustaining recorder offices in Iowa, and since I've taken office, we've given no tax revenue, just revenue generated from recording of documents. Is essentially like a user fee. We've given about $470,000 to the county to date since I've been there.
What was that number?
$470,000.
$470,000. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think to me, it's a little soon to be going to a deputy position based on my decision, to support your recommendation. Do you remember when this was, or Don, do you have
It was December of
A year ago.
2 years ago.
I think it was 1 year ago. I think I was in the,
No, I don't think so. I remember Supervisor Klein, not being in support of it, and, you know, had his reasons. He didn't want to increase the staff, but you made, I thought, persuasive arguments that the work was needed, and there was an offset in the fact that the clerk position wasn't gonna be paid as much as the deputy. So I don't know if we've had enough time, at least in my mind, to recoup, you know, to have that make a difference. So
This increase will be
you know, and I know you made the same arguments, when you asked for the additional staff, that, you know, your office is, you know, it does, first of all, I think you and your staff do a great job. I'm just saying, it's a little soon for me. I didn't think you would never be able to ask for a deputy, but to me, having been through that, it's a little soon. You have, I know I see, that, the person who, is, this job vacancy is related to, is transferring.
Yep.
And, I assume that that person was a valued employee and provided good service.
Yeah, very much so. It was our, with exception of the deputies, she was our sole clerk 4, which is the highest pay grade. With her going, and what that budget shortfall would be is, if we were to bring somebody in today, I think it would be about $7,000 total, would be the difference between the clerk 4 and what a deputy would be paid. And that's something that I'm willing to bite the bullet with the staff that we have and you know, wait to hire this position. I mean, her first day will be tomorrow out at zoning, so that'll be a budget savings for us until that position's filled, and I think we can offset that amount by making the start date maybe as late as, you know, sometime in December or even January, so it won't impact this year's budget at all.
I'm comfortable with that, and I think as we kind of pointed out to the sheriff as an elected official and defer to his judgment, your office is well run, it's cash flow positive, so if this is the position you feel you need, I would support that.
I guess I just want to say, I don't see it as cash flow positive. To me, that isn't necessarily my deciding factor, because it's cash flow positive because you're collecting fees from people, not because you're working more efficiently, right? People are coming in because they have things they want to title, they want to register, they're paying the fees that we collect for services we're providing. So I don't know how hiring a deputy as compared to a clerk makes our fees increase. It's just how we spend the revenue that's coming in from fees that taxpayers are paying. So I'm not sure, I like to give lots of deference to folks who run their own as an elected official, but I haven't heard you make, to me as a taxpayer, the reason why you need to hire a more expensive employee to replace somebody. I mean, that's what I'm curious about. It's not about, oh, you have the money or you're making money, but how come you need a more expensive employee now?
Yeah, so we've had the individual that took a position in the zoning office, she's been with us, I'd have to double check, but it's been 15, 16 years. And she came from one of the few positions in town, which was working for the title companies, abstract companies, when she came to us, so she had a knowledge of the land record system. When she came in, and obviously has been running in our COT system for as long as we've had it. So, I mean, she is a very experienced person that's leaving, and that's gonna be part of the challenge, is finding somebody that is able and capable of picking this up right away. That step to record a document is 3 steps: to receipt it, and to send it through the scanner, but then also we do what's called blind key verification, so that when it gets entered in to index the information the first time, there's a second person that does it, and that information has to match up before we can finalize the document, before it's officially recorded. So it's going through all those steps, and having, you need to have at least 2 to 3 people that are well equipped to do that role. So losing somebody that's specialized, it's something that if we went back to a very similar format that we had, we would you know, we would need to identify whoever came in and, you know, filled that role in, if it's somebody that bids in from a different part of the building, or if it's somebody that comes externally, that, you know, will, you know, especially if it's somebody that bids in, we'd have to hope that we can, they could be a very quick learner to learn how to index these land records.
So we might find that very quick learner. How many applications did we have, Dawn, for the position that we had open here in the supervisor's office?
We had over 100 applications.
100 applications. And is the pay structure similar?
This would be a higher pay. The deputy's pay will be tied to the recorder's pay. So it'd be that 60% is what we
How about
estimated.
if it remains a clerk 4 position? How does that compare to some of the other changes because clerk 4 is the highest clerical pay
In that
rate, is
bargaining
that?
unit, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Will it require a college education?
No, it does not. A clerk 4 does not.
Would a
the board like
deputy
to-
require a college education?
Technically, no. It's something that we would, you know, that would be to be written exactly how that job description is.
I mean, we're an hour late, so it sounds like you two want more conversation. Do you want to table this item and come back to it?
I would like to, have a look at the difference in wages and compare them to some other positions throughout the courthouse and other departments, and just see what the difference is. And also, John, if you can point out what the deputy can or can't do that a clerk 4 can or can't do. If the previous person had all the experience and was a clerk 4, I assume that was the appropriate category, and that person had 15 years of experience in that position. You know, is it a recruitment issue? I think I'd like to have a work session to discuss that.
Just briefly, for the clerk 4, that position is throughout many different departments, so we tend not to change that job description much because it has to be, you know, there needs to be flexibility. It's more clerical. A deputy, from speaking with the recorder, I think you would look more at the experience and have him have experience more in maybe a real estate background versus just a general clerical background. I think that's, and our discussion is that's what his need is in his department, is to have more of that experience other than just clerical.
Okay, so are the deputies exempt from overtime? They're exempt from overtime. So when you say that they're working weekends, so there's no extra pay, so that might be an argument in favor of going to a deputy.
When we're looking at that increase of $7,500 roughly, I mean, that would be, if we had a deputy starting tomorrow with that.
I'd like to have that type of information in front of me, so, and I guess, John, you can meet, you know, we can wait and do a work session, but you can meet with us individually in between to bring us up to speed if you'd like. I don't know what your thoughts are, Supervisor McDonough.
I assume neither of you two want to approve it today, right?
I'd like to have more information. I'm not opposed.
I'll make a motion to table the
All right.
personnel requisition for the deputy recorder.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll withdraw my motion.
I second it. I was waiting
Okay,
for
take a
Supervisor
vote then.
McDonough to second it, but, all right. Motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Carried 2-1 to table. All right. Let's go to item 11, which is tabled and pending items. We have strategic planning, 11A. Do we have anything on that?
Can I make a recommendation that these items keep tabled and we visit them later and go to our 10:30 work session. I know we have people from the public that want to talk to the county engineer on some topics.
Okay,
Who does?
That's why he was on the agenda.
Got,
Okay.
that's why I'm saying this. We got 4 minutes. Let's go.
all right. We'll go
Or
to,
we'll table everything.
we also have the public comments. Do you want?
Go, yeah, whatever.
All right,
You're
I'm
the
gonna go
chair.
to item 12. We'll hold the tabled and pending items. We'll come back to those. Item 12, public comments. At this time, anyone may address the board on matters of which are of concern to that person, which are not agenda items. Please go to the podium, state your name and home address. Please be aware that the board is limited in their ability to respond to such inquiries, and Iowa code prohibits the board from deliberating or acting on items and not appearing on the agenda. So if anyone would like to speak in public comments, you can approach the podium at this time.
Okay.
Jenny?
Jenny Hillary. Do I gotta state my address? Deputy Commissioner of Elections, 3087 Arbor Oaks Drive.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Jenny.
Oh, sorry. Jenny Hillary, Deputy Commissioner of Elections. Address 30. Do you want my home one? Okay. We just wanted to quick add that for elections, it was approved, we have a Where You Vote app that the public can download to their iPhone or Android phone to find a sample ballot in their polling location. IT's in the process of putting it up on our website, but there is this nice little handy, if you search, it's Where, WHERE, then U, and then VOTE. And again, it'll be up and running real soon on the website. But yeah, if you click in, it's the Dubuque one. A lot of other counties had it. This was approved in our budget. And you can find where, if we're doing satellites at, or where you can early vote at, the annex location and our location will come up. And if you vote later, you can also find your polling location. It'll give you directions. And there will be a link to your sample ballot as well.
You want to put it on the projector?
I don't know how to do that.
Keep talking. I got it.
Oh. We just wanted to put that out in public
Okay.
comment to let the.
Thank you.
Where You Vote, that's the name of the app.
Yes. Do you want me to go back to
You
my
know.
home page? Oh. So it's this little, on my phone,
Where You Vote, yep.
yeah,
Got
it
it
says
right
where
now.
you vote. And when you click on it, if you want it to do now, it says today's date, it has the courthouse address, it has the election annexed, you can add to the calendar. And if you want it to vote later, if you pick like the 25th of October, it shows how we're open till 5. And if you put on election day, and then if you put in your address, we can just pick this one, it would tell you where, and then you could get directions to go there. So we would encourage the public to download the app.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I just
It's
did.
exciting.
Jenny?
All right, anybody else comments under public comments on items that are not on the agenda?
State Representative Chuck Eisenhart, 1665 Kaufman Avenue. I've sent the board a couple of times in the past month some communication regarding the status of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, some changes being made to that might be of concern to residents of Dubuque County. I've not seen that communication on your agenda, and so I'm wondering if that could be put on agenda for potential future discussion. I did send that also to your Board of Health, and the Director of Board of Health and Chair, as I understand it, declined to put that on their agenda for discussion, but I still think it should be of concern to the county.
And Chuck, is this funding at the state or federal level?
The changes are being made, proposed to be made to the eligibility guidelines that would make potentially several hundred Dubuque County families ineligible, and as a result, make any children in the household ineligible for automatic qualification for the reduced and free lunch programs in the schools.
Thank you. Anybody else? We're not allowed to take action on any of these items, so please give your name and address for the record. Thank you.
I'm Alan Main, and I live at 17444 Chesterman Road. I'm here with Bob Howard, and Bob Hinches from Dubuque Community Schools. We have a concern out on Thunder Hills Road and Chesterman Road. We have no access at this time to Piasta except by Highway 20. And it's a accident waiting to happen. Every time you wish to go to Piasta, which is only a half a mile from my house, I have to travel about 3 miles. I have to get on Highway 20, which does not have any acceleration lanes on it. We just had an accident out there. If someone is coming down the highway and turning off onto Thunder Hills Road or Cox Springs Road, there is a turnoff lane. But if that happens to be a pickup truck or a larger truck, and there happens to be another car behind it on the back corner, you cannot see them. And therefore, you're driving across the highway or trying to get on the highway, and somebody's coming at you at probably 75 miles an hour, and there's going to be people hurt. We have school buses. If Mr. Hinch would like to speak to that. We have school buses that are entering that highway with children on them, and I've seen the bus sit there for a long, long time. At 4 o'clock, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's a good 5-minute wait at least to get on that highway. In the morning, to get on the highway, you've got cars stacked up 20 deep. We have a problem with people double parking in the middle. They are not supposed to even be there. You're supposed to go directly from Thunder Hills Road to whichever lane you're gonna go to, and you're not supposed to stop in the middle. So we have people that pull out there, then we have another person pull out, it's called piggybacking, I guess, and they cannot see the traffic coming to them. We need some kind of an access road from Thunder Hills Road to Cox Springs Road to Piasta. Right now, there is a subdivision being developed out there. We have, we'll call it the Charity Road, that's what I always called it, going across there, which is owned by a development company at this time. Piasta has probably a third of the street, maybe, no, not even that, probably a quarter of that street that's been dedicated to them. The other 3/4 of it is within the, I don't know, a jurisdiction, I guess, of those contractors. We need to either do something, you need to do something at this time. We can't just let that Charity Road be closed because we have no access to Piasta. And I've talked to the business people at Piasta, and they realize they're losing a lot of income from Thunder Hills, Thunder Ridge, Birch Green Acres, because people, those are older people like myself, and they do not want to go down to that highway and try and enter it. It's just it's a bad set of intersections. And we need some kind of an access road between Thunder Hills and Green Acres. We need some kind of an access road to Piasta. I realize that the board is not real in favor of opening the tunnel, which is fine. If you don't want to open that tunnel, you don't have to, but you need to buy some kind of an access. Some kind of a guaranteed access between Thunder Hills Road and Piasta. We can't put school buses on that highway the way it is right now. It's just, you're just asking for a bunch of people to get killed. We just had an accident at Cox Springs Road. The guy broke both arms, both legs. He's in Iowa City. We have too many things going on at those intersections. You have Horsfield, concrete, which is pulling trucks on there. They cannot accelerate. And you're coming up behind them. They're running at 35 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. You change lanes, and guess what? Right away, you're at the off road to Thunder Hills. Just right now. So you just go around the cement truck, and all of a sudden, you have somebody throwing on the blinker and turning off. It's just, the area is so, I don't know, it's just, you don't have the infrastructure that should be there. And as a taxpayer, and I realize that that area is the one that's gonna grow. You're gonna have another 120 houses out there probably in the next 3 years. Spiegel subdivision north is gonna add to that. We're just putting more population in that area, and you know that corridor is gonna grow. And we need some kind of an access through there. And if we don't do it now, it's gonna be too late. Questions?
We can't, during the public comments, we
Okay.
can't do that. We do have that as part of our work session coming up, though. But we appreciate your comments.
Okay,
Okay,
you're gonna cover this?
we're going right into that.
We hope. We do have an issue with our county engineer, but maybe we, so,
Okay, so,
You want
thank
me
you
to-
for your
Good.
comments, though. Under the public comments, we're not allowed to take action or,
Okay.
have debate.
Okay.
Okay? All right. We will roll right into the 10:30 work session with the county engineer. Are you
yeah, what's your
able to?
availability? What's,
Unfortunately, I need to take off, but it's really important that we have discussion with FEH concerning the business they have here today, so. But the rest of my items, I'm gonna have to bump to either in 2 weeks or sometime in between. But they're very important. I wanna address those as soon as we can.
Okay.
so your hard stop is right now, or 5 minutes, or an hour, or what?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah. My items are gonna take some time. There's just not enough time.
Okay, so we have FEH, discussion with FEH regarding the West Campus.
Well, maybe we'd see if there's any more public comments. Maybe we've already done that. If anyone else wants to talk about, there's people that have been here for an hour or so waiting on the Chesterman Road discussion that's now not gonna happen today. So maybe they wanna do their public comments at least.
All right, if anybody else has comments on the
I don't know if-
Chesterman Road.
Go through the Bob's,
we'll go
wanna
back to
comment,
that.
and then at least you'll be able to hear the comments, and then you may or may not have to come back. So I apologize for that. Normally our engineer is very available. Today's the exception.
Yeah, I'm Bob Howard, 16909 Country Club Drive, Piasta. I live in Thunder Hills. And I have for some time, and my concern is again about the access to Piasta from where we are located. Because of the growing population, I know there's 3 developments right there on Thunder Hills Road, which probably comprise over 600 homes. And the need is to get that access to Piasta going both ways, because another concern would be emergency vehicles, fire and police, ambulance, that type of thing. And we surely could use that access, and that would include the reopening of that tunnel. It's been closed for 11 years. I know that other roads or bridges were destroyed at that time in 2008. They've been replaced. The tunnel has not. It's Chesterman Road is a county surfaced road. I think it should be reopened. And we have access to Cox Springs and then to Piasta. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Hinchin, 16636 Cordillera Drive, Piasta, and I'm also Transportation Director for Western Dubuque Schools. And I'd just like to echo what these gentlemen have said. We have a real safety concern now that that Charity Road is being developed. Every year, they want to add another street. It's closed down for months at a time while they relocate the road. So when that's open, our access through there is 100% safer than what we're doing now. Seems like the traffic on Highway 20 just gets busier every month with industrial park traffic, all the business traffic in Piasta. So we're pulling students out of those subdivisions, Thunder Hills, Birds Acres, Thunder Ridge, and we have to get out onto Highway 20 into town. Like they say, there's no acceleration lane. We're having to make left turns across traffic into those subdivisions to get the kids home. It's just not a safe situation. So anything you can do to increase access. A bus does fit through the tunnel. We used to go through there all the time. So if that's an option, we'd love to have that access also. So thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Okay. Anybody else on the Chesterman Road Tunnel? Okay. Anthony, what's your status? Do you move into the FEH?
Yeah, I'd say
Bring
move
it down
to
to
FEH.
2 minutes.
I'm gonna have to take off, so.
Okay, we're on the 10:30 a.m. work session, discussion with FEH regarding West Campus. We
Just
have
real quick,
Christy Monk here from FEH.
did you guys get in your Dropbox the reports I sent you for Chesterman and then also Black Hills and Lansing? Okay.
Thank you for that.
This is the FEH. What's on FEH?
Hi.
It's a nice sunny day. I'd like to review
In our Dropbox, I believe.
Is Anthony gone for
Does
the?
anybody want a paper copy?
He's gone.
I do.
Chair, if I
Is that
could.
your only one?
No,
So
I brought-
Anthony has left. Is the board planning to go through the rest of his engineer items or not? Just, we have people still waiting that, and if we're not gonna go to those items, then we should let the public know. Unless we're gonna discuss it without him. That's just my question.
That's, I think up to the board. My preference would be to have Anthony here and not just his memo. But if you want to have discussion on it, I'm happy to do that.
I'm just saying whatever the board's decision is, we should let the group know.
Okay.
And
What's your
I have no problem discussing those issues.
All right.
I don't
So
think we'll be coming to terms or taking any action or recommendations, but
I'll make a motion to recess for 5 minutes. I need a break.
Okay. Sorry about that, Chris.
That's okay.
Motion
Do
to
what?
recess for 5
Second.
minutes. Seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know he had a hard stop. That would have been good to know. I was always wondering, why was he
is
not at
there anything about
8:15?
these you think are,
because he needed more than 45 minutes.
Christie, do you need me to run some more copies of
It
this?
didn't work, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just in case. No, I was gonna go through it. unless you-
Faster.
Yes.
of course I want to know. It's just, I don't know, is there something here that's a sticky wicket?
It's the 10:30 a.m. work session. It's the county engineer's work session. He is absent. He had to leave to go to Delaware County meeting. So, first item is discussion with FEH regarding West Campus. And we do have the document provided by Christie. Christie, do you want to
Yeah.
lead
Christy
the
Monk
discussion
with
here?
FEH, thank you for having me. You should have the spreadsheet in front of you. If you need a paper copy, let me know. The items in yellow are the items we are requesting approval on today. Those are, the first one is light pole IT prep. So we had power and fiber run to the light poles and then worked with the IT department on a slightly different termination. So we had gotten a cost from the contractor of just over $31,000 and we were like, no. So we reevaluated exactly what we needed and that cost came down to $11,480, which is $781 per pole. It essentially preps your light pole for, it'll have an outlet,
transformer, and a fiber termination, so you can put anything related to access control or Wi-Fi then at each exterior light pole. Let's see, electrical installed at equipment, oh, nope, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. Shot feeder for in-floor heat, that was a request from the county, from the vendor on adding chemicals into the in-floor heating system. The next item is an orange air separator change. That change was required and MEP engineers covered that cost, so there is no cost to the county. HRU1 condensate line. A condensate line was required from a piece of mechanical equipment, and that had a cost because it was in the garage. The line ran at a high height for a significant distance. Manifold covers to protect exposed radiant floor tubing. That was an owner request. Chris, do you know?
Want to come up, Chris?
Is that something that you're gonna do, or is that something we would like Portson to do for those manifold covers? That was the TED request.
The manifold covers are actually there, the steel boxes are there.
Yeah,
The,
because we're covering the tubing,
yeah,
aren't we?
yeah, we just need to extend it down to the floor.
Okay, so that is a legitimate request. Sorry about the noise. Hold open switches at the office, automatic entrances. We had automatic operators at the office doors, but they didn't have a hold open button function, so moving was more difficult. And for future moving things in and out of the building, we added those switches. Additional light fixtures in the garage. We added 7 additional light fixtures in the garage. There were certain areas of the garage that were dim, so the space in and of itself met the light requirements that are required per code, but once we got in there, got the equipment and the lifts in there, they obscured some of the lights, so there were 7 additional lights that the garage staff requested be added. And then once the garage was occupied, there were 3 outlets they requested be added since they were not there. So that is a
Where were those at?
There was 1 by welding, and I think 2 more in the shop area, if I remember correctly.
We're not talking about the power washer.
No,
That was
no,
separate.
that's a totally different animal. These are 120 volt, 20 amp outlets for plugging in power tools and
Whatever.
that sort of thing.
Okay. Just, and did we discover that after we occupied the space that we needed these additional ones?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, same thing with the lighting.
Okay. And I was out there, Chris, and I agree that the lighting did not seem satisfactory. What was that? A design issue? Was it the type of lighting that we chose, or was it unforeseen? Was it something that?
The foot candles required for a shop area, or I can't remember, is it 200 foot candles or?
Oh, I don't,
I can't, the number is not the
It's like
issue.
50 foot
We
candles.
met the lighting, we met the lighting criteria for, light at the floor. The problem is when we started pulling trucks in and the lifts got in and they started using the equipment, it was blocking lights. So you had, and also the trucks would block lights, so they would have issues when they're down trying to work on a truck, they're trying to pull over extra lights and all the other stuff. And occasionally you still have to do it, but you shouldn't have to do that to work on tires or work on the sides of vehicles. And that's the reason for the additional lights. We're actually gonna put, the lights will go centered on the width or the length of the parking areas where they work, and they'll be in between the bays instead of right over top of the bays. And this will give the additional lighting they need.
So we did discuss task lighting versus overhead lighting, and it was the preference of staff that we do overhead lighting instead of task lighting. So the solution was to add those 7 light fixtures.
All right.
So the total of those changes are in blue at the bottom of the spreadsheet. So we are requesting approval today, and then we are expecting to get our civil numbers finalized, which should equate to potentially a credit. So then we would roll all the changes at the end of the project into the kind of final change order.
Nathan, did you have anything you wanted to add about the IT polls? I know you're not here, and I know you're present in our boardroom, so
No,
it's,
I'm just, in case there was something on that.
right.
No, I don't need to add anything to it. That will allow me to complete the county IT side of this project for security cameras, Wi-Fi, future growth, future needs on all the poles.
I'm very glad that we're identifying all these things now. So, because now we're down to the points with the lighting for the safety. So we're being sure that we're using the space optimally. And I think some of this you just can't know until you move in, you start moving around and working around. So I would rather get it right than have workarounds or cords, drug about. Let's get this right. So I don't find these costs to be out of what, I like the IT numbers coming in tremendously better than our first guess at this, our first quote that came in. So, I'm likely to approve unless my peers have questions. I would be ready to make a motion.
What's the shot feeder for the in-floor?
Shot feeder
What does that
it's basically, it's a container, a 5-gallon container that you can isolate from the system. You pour the chemical treatment in there, put the lid on it, and then open the valves, and what it does is it allows the chemical treatment to circulate through the entire system.
It allows you to more easily add glycol to the system.
More easily. So-
Glycol
Yes.
or
So
whatever
this-
chemical it
The
is.
$4,000 is a one-time change in the access to the in-floor heating, so
Yeah.
that you can add.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that before?
No, they didn't, and that was one of the things I discussed with, after the fact, I go, how am I supposed to add chemical to this? And, well, you can't, or you gotta get a pressurized pump to inject it with, and that starts getting to be, this cost is well spent because it's easy to access the system moving forward. There's a filter in it and everything else with it too, so.
Sure.
Yeah, because we gotta.
Would've been better on the front side.
Yes, it would've.
And then, Christie, for you, what's our total overrun? I see that we have a contingency of 200,000, and I can't quite square the
The numbers are,
32,000.
so we spent the 200,000 and we had a previous change order for 32,659. So the overage thus far in change order total would be approximately $62,400.
260,000.
Well, the 200 was in the project cost,
Agreed, but it's still an overrun.
depending on how you do your math, then yes.
Yes, I mean, it's a contingency if we go over, or need to go over, right? That's the
Yeah.
dollar amount. So 260,000 that we're currently over. Do you think this is the end?
Well, I'm anticipating that there will be some civil changes because they had more civil quantities included in the bid than will be necessary. But then they added some geotextile fabric under the pavers, so I don't know what that cost is yet. So there are some civil changes that'll be coming down the pike yet, but that should be it. Hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Make a
Chris,
motion.
on the $4,000 addition,
For the shot feeder.
if that had been caught up front, would that have still been 4,000? Or?
Because it was not
is it-
planned, it wasn't planned in. Now, if it would have been
Okay.
figured in when we did the original design work, it would have been included in the HAC costs.
And it would have been 4,000.
Yeah, it still would have been the same thing.
That would have been in the whole bid.
Yeah.
Right.
It
It
would
would
just
have been part of it.
increase the overall costs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Assuming
your
they-
project costs would have been
line
increased.
item.
And we do try to evaluate the cost best we can and evaluate if they are in line with our expectations. And that's why when they come in high, we have more questions.
Okay. Are we looking for approval?
I would like approval for the contractor to move forward with these items with the expectation that they would be rolled into a forthcoming change order.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the change order requests that are identified before us today.
I'll second that.
Okay. Approval to move forward. Then we'll look for this to show up in a formal change order. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried 3-0.
Thank you.
I know it's technically not on the agenda, but I just wanted to remind everybody that our open house is on October 29th. So hope to see everybody there. And the dedication plaque is in and it looks awesome.
Yay. Do we have any details? I know we're kind of waiting on the chamber for the ribbon cutting stuff, but do we have times and such?
I have 11 a.m.
I
Okay.
My calendar's 11, but I don't know,
Okay.
assuming that's accurate.
And then we're gonna have tours and such. Is it going like from 11 to 2, 11 to?
I have an 11:30 ribbon cutting,
You had 11?
11:30 ribbon cutting.
11:30 to 1, okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, item number 2, under Anthony's work session is discussion regarding Black Hills Road and Lansing Road. There is a memo in your Dropbox information where he is laying out options and giving his recommendation.
So his recommendation is the seal coat, number 2.
Yes. And I think that isn't actually his ideal recommendation, but because of the timing, he wants to get something that he can get done ASAP.
You worried the 3-inch overlay would maybe not make August?
That's what I think his concern is, but,
You'd think with all the work we did with River City that we would just say, hey, here's the priority, do it, and they'd get it done first.
well, I think it's because our crews, I think, can do the,
What do you think, our crew would do it?
I believe that's the case, I assume that's the case, cause with River
We
City.
could do either. Can we do a 3-inch lift?
You don't tell River City,
You can if you put it in the bid.
well, I understand. But
I have several questions
they're
about
typically
this.
the only contractor that bids our asphalt projects.
3.
So,
And my question was gonna be, I had several for Anthony about this. Specifically, have we contacted Dyersville? Where are they? I understand it's not their road, but it's their project. We're talking about being ready with infrastructure, being ready for, the Major League Baseball. I think it should be done, not just 3 of us trying to do this personally. I would have a motion to table this if it's necessary. It's just a work session. I think we should do this when Anthony can be present.
I think I'd wait 2 weeks.
I thought we just said we were gonna continue discussion, so if the discussion is we wanna table it, I guess I'm okay with that.
That was my question as well. But, my first thought would be on this would be to do the overlay. I mean, Field of Dreams is not going away. And you're gonna have, just even with the Major League Baseball, even if it's just 1 year, you're gonna have more traffic out there. But I would certainly want another discussion point with the county engineer.
And we need to look at the budget as well then. I mean, when we get, some of the projects obviously increase cost significantly.
Yeah, we've been averaging somewhere between $12 to $15 million a year in construction, so this would be a small percentage of that, but still a project worth noting.
Right, and this, because of the Major League Baseball game, this is, it's,
We definitely don't want to have construction in August when it's
yeah,
happening.
we don't wanna be under construction while that's going on, so. Anthony is on top of this, I think, but I think if we defer for a couple weeks, I don't think it's a big deal. So,
My other last comment would be, it seems like nobody really likes seal coat roads. They just complain about them. They tend to kick up little pea gravel and tar, and it takes a little while to pack everything in.
But I think it's worth noting that the item number 2 that the engineer is suggesting, while we don't think it's the best idea, that's a $375,000 project. For those folks that are here that want to talk about other connector roads and things, I think it's just important to see, what other estimates are out there. Another is a, $650,000 project. And those, of course, none of these would be budgeted at this time. So, and the final one, which is, I think, probably what we would all aspire to be for what we hope the use of these roads would be for Major League Baseball is, $1.2 million. So it's, the road projects get just so very expensive fast. And it's just, in the context of any discussion we have about Chesterman Road Tunnel and connector roads, we had public comment, today about the need to get back and forth between Thunder Hills and Piasta. We do know those improvements have to be made, and I think we're looking for the right partner to help us make that. But this is just another example of what's happening in the county. It's all very exciting. We're talking about population growth and, vibrancy and opportunities for tourism development and business development. It just, they're hefty price tags.
I do like your idea of contacting the city of Dyersville, see if they have an opinion, if they would want to weigh in.
Or what they're thinking, what's their plan? They usually have something that's on the horizon as well, and it could be, and it probably is, that Anthony has probably already spoken to them as well, so.
Okay, so there was a motion to table, was that correct?
Do we need to do that in a work session?
I don't.
No? All right.
We'll just move those along.
Move it on.
All right,
All right, sweet.
going to number 3, discussion regarding Chesterman Road Tunnel. And Anthony has a memo in
First
here.
question is, do both of you, I lived out in Piasta in that area, do you both visualize the access road they're talking about?
And that's what I was
Been there
saying
several
too.
times.
The one that's closed now and why it's closed?
Right.
Okay.
And I've been there, and, that's birds stomping ground, and my brother lived, yes.
Okay,
I
good,
know the area.
good. I just know, okay.
It's not an unknown to me. Lots of heavy lifting issues there with water erosion, railroad issues. It's big to do it right. It is.
Yeah, well,
Probably
that's
even
the
outside of
tunnel. I was thinking more of the access road related to, and, I don't even know,
Ilana?
pardon?
Yolana Road, the private road?
Yeah, I didn't know what the actual name of it is off the top of my head, if you guys were familiar with it, and why it's closed during the construction that they were mentioning. So you're up to speed, you're,
I wonder if we should reach out to, the mayor of Piasta and just be talking about connector roads.
Anthony, at my request, Anthony did meet with the city manager and confirmed that the original development of that subdivision would include a through road. The dilemma, as Mr. Main pointed out, is that could be a couple of years from now, because as they do their construction, they keep closing it. And as more homes go up there, they'll have little or no incentive. Those property owners that surround that, are on that road, will not want it open. And so that's gonna be our dilemma, is that it's in private hands, it's not in public hands.
I wonder if we should then, as we talk about this more formally, if we do with Anthony, is to bring in the Piasta City Administrator to start really looking at solutions, to say.
And the developer.
Exactly, and the developer. This is a need we have. We would maybe be partnering with them like we did on Bobcat Road, where we helped with some things that are, we help you, you help us. It's, something we're gonna work on together. But to say that we're interested in making a connector road happen and all that would come with that. It's not just about being wider. I think it's about being ready for more heavily trafficked area and just looking at it other than in a subdivision road. It needs to be prepared to be a major connector road.
It says the city of Piasta is expected to assume future responsibility of this connector road.
Right, but I don't know if that's still looking at it as what it's going to become. I'd like to see I guess I'd like to see a map of it, to see what the mapping looks like, to really get prepared for what we can do to help facilitate this in Piasta. The Thunder Hills area is certainly growing. It was significant to me, in addition to Mr. Main, who's still here, it was significant to me that we had the transportation director from West Dubuque School present. And, when you start to get folks whose job it is to make these things work better, and he's concerned, I think it just does raise for us the need to be present and to look at the solutions on maybe bigger scale. So maybe plan, my thought would be to plan another work session, but to ask other folks to be present. And again, whether that's here or West Campus, however we want to use that, but to meet folks, to listen to what their ideas are, you know, that's what my feedback would have been, Mr. Main today, is what are the other solutions?
Yeah, and I think one of them is to open up the tunnel. And, you know, we did receive correspondence from, I think, all of the subdivisions. And this is a petition with over 200 signatures to open up the tunnel.
Right.
And, you know, I'm
That's-
familiar with, so that's the other thing. I think that we at least owe it to the public in that area to declare what is our plan. And unfortunately, water going over the road does not justify us vacating those roads. If that's the case, we'd have 20 or 30 in the county that would be eliminated because we have that issue. Now, it's not a great standard, but it's the world we live in. And just next door, Cox Springs Road, Mr. Mean probably can step up, that water goes over that road every now and then as well.
Right.
And so just because there's water, that is a unfortunate circumstance we're living with, or we'd have to close numerous roads, including Highway 52, which we do. And then they do close it, so we have a mechanism to be able to close and help the public remain safe while still allowing access the other 325 days a year.
And the paragraph there that I found really helpful, and I don't know, Mr. Fisher, do you have these documents that we're discussing? The Chesterman Tunnel Road would have been in our Dropbox. This was presented to me again this morning. This is a petition that's filed January 30th, 2017, with 200 signatures. So just for context for the room at large. But in our county engineer's look at the tunnel, as we call it, he's talking about something that is outside of our scope of maybe ability to make change, which is the railroad. That there's no for sure that they want to partner with us and even make the changes that it might make. So when I see that, I want to look, you know, getting a railroad act is going to be, you know, probably a long time. So let's look at what
Those
are
are
the
just-
other solutions we could work on
Those
right
are
away.
artificial blocks. That tunnel has been open for 125 years. Those are artificial blocks by people that don't want to open it. So, I mean, the tunnel has been part of Dubuque County, and that's been a Dubuque County road for over 100 years. And now just because people don't want to open it, they say, well, the railroad won't let us. And I just do not accept that. And so I can understand if from, you know, an engineering design concept, Anthony Bargett does not want to accept this because he doesn't want to accept the liability of a road that might be flooded. And so maybe we can just call it what it is. But I also would challenge the board, that's where our growth is. And so what is the access for them east? And then how can we continue to improve the roads, whether it be Chesterman Road and or Cottingham Road, to get people to Dubuque and then eventually Western Dubuque. Because if you push them out on 20, like they say, you're gonna have accidents. We've already had a fatality at that intersection. The DOT is closing off the other at-grade intersections as they can, and wisely so. I think if we research, you'll find little or no accidents at the tunnel, and you'll find no fatalities at the tunnel. But yet that's the area we want to just say no to. And that's counterintuitive to me. I think it's much safer than pushing traffic to at-grade intersections at 65 to 75 miles an hour. And that's what we should be looking for as a solution. And unfortunately, the recommendation from the engineer does not include that.
Great. So we'll meet again, and I think when we look at it with maps, we look at it with other opportunities, and there's other development. I think we find a developer who wants to work with us. We'll help them put infrastructure in that make these connector roads. Whether the tunnel opens or not, I mean, for me, my experience with it is thinking, how can I say this in a polite way? I can't believe this is a road. Every time I went through it in my adult life, through the tunnel thinking, is this really for real? This really a road? Yes, it is. It's a tunnel, and it sure isn't a road now. So the condition of that is tremendous upkeep. So, you know, let's look at how we can make several connectors maybe, but I am not a big fan of the tunnel. And, you know, I think the engineer's report about that, I didn't talk to Anthony about it, but he's coming to kind of the same conclusion I am.
And so I can understand people that are not as close to it. Most people that live around it want it open. All the subdivisions said they want it open. Those of us that grew up in that area, I think find it refreshing and quaint. Now, we want it safe, but, you know, Highway 52 has been closed by water over it 6 times this summer. So is Rapala Road. We can go on and on. And so, you know, I think what I would like the board to do is how can we provide access versus it just being shut down? I mean, do you like it? It's just shut down and there's graffiti and the people that go down there to party go onto private property and graffiti that as well?
Yeah.
That happens. Go look at it. It's there.
Yeah, I think it was happening the last time I was through and it was open.
Yeah, so I think as government, we need to do something, and I mentioned this, you know, and so whether it's, you know, right now it's acting like a C-class road, but it was never classified as a C-class road.
Is it open to ATV traffic?
Right
I
now it's,
suppose so. It's
right
a
now it's
road.
probably not following any of our protocols other than it's closed.
Closed.
It's just closed. And it's closed, but yet who goes there are those that want to just enjoy it in their own manner. And that means typically vandalism, usually probably illicit drugs and alcohol and just hoodlism, goofing around, which people used to honk their horn through the tunnel, okay? But they didn't stop there because they couldn't, because it's a through road. Now they stop there and go there, and it's just not productive. So, you know, if we don't act to open it, we need to act to do something.
Right now, it's serving as a stormwater, runoff.
Stream
Basically a
runs.
storm sewer.
For the railroad.
Right.
Yeah. It's a big culvert for the railroad.
Right.
And that was one of its designs originally. Yeah, I mean, bridges in Madison County aren't, you know, that's not designed to carry a lot of traffic and to, you know, be really functional and people love it. I think this thing can be unique in its architectural design and functional.
Well, I am all in favor of finding a non-highway 20, new 20, alternative. I think willing to have the discussion on the tunnel, but you know, we have, I believe, the best county engineer in the state of Iowa, and I have been out there with him at least twice. So I think it would, you know, probably call for another, maybe an on-site meeting with other folks invited. And we've done that in the past, invited the press, invited people to join us and go out to the site and look at it. So we may need to do that, and I'm willing to do that. So, but I wholeheartedly agree that going out to the 4-lane is that's not a good situation. I agree with Mr. Henschen with his concern. If the new road were open or was going to be open sometime soon, I would feel better about that. So, I guess we definitely need Anthony to be involved in the discussions, and I may ask for a site. I think it's been over 2 years since we've done a what I would call a tour. It's a little clumsy. We usually try to get a number of vehicles, pickups. Maybe we could get an RTA bus to keep everybody together. So
I think it would help. My last comment would be just, you know, I don't think we've done a real good job listening to the people in that Piasta area, the board. And they have, you know, each one of those subdivisions sent us a letter of support, and we've got other petitions, and I think we've just ignored it. And so I would like to see the board no longer do that and take a more proactive stance.
Well, I'm gonna take exception to that, because I haven't ignored it, because I've been out there with the engineer a couple times.
But we've done nothing.
That's
This
true.
October 14th, 2019, we've got a document in front of us.
Right.
That's a
But-
long time for, when it first came up. And, you know, this was received, what, 17?
Date
So-
of January 30th.
Yeah, so that's, you know, two and a half years, and so the engineer doesn't want to do it, okay? And so it's difficult, and I respect Anthony, but maybe we need to have outside engineering consultants as well. Because when one single person that's responsible for the roads is no, they easily can control that no by slow going it, and that's what's occurred. So I would want us not to make that same mistake.
And again, I'm gonna take exception to the fact about listening. I have found, and I'll use the UTV, ATV example, I listened to everybody. Those who I didn't agree with thought I wasn't listening. But I was listening. So I listened, to the tune of, you know, going down there, crawling down on a rock, that was moved a couple hundred yards, or a chunk of concrete, and actually meeting with, one of the neighbors met with Anthony and I, down there. So I agree that we haven't had the chance to say yes or no, and look at a firm cost. We have estimates, but at this point, I know that, you know, and I don't think it's anything from Anthony, other than he doesn't think that it's a good value for the amount of money that would be spent, the amount of tax dollars that would be spent, and the other projects that would be impacted by that. That's my read from him. I want to hear that from him. So like I said, I wish he didn't have to leave us, but long-winded way of saying, I think we need more discussion on it, and I'm willing to have that.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. I don't know and I know, Mr. Main, you had a chance to say, no, we can talk now. This is a work session, so if you want, you're welcome to bring up anything else, and we can talk back and forth now. During the public comments, we're not allowed to have dialogue back and forth. So if there's anything else you want to bring up, I think we need to have some additional meetings, and obviously, we would like to have Anthony present, so.
Sorry, I won't be able to hear you. You'll have to go to a microphone.
You want to come up, Mr. Main? Right here.
Right there, front and center.
I'm not trying to, but I see too many people taking too many close calls out there at those intersections. And I envision that the Charity Road, or whatever you want to call that road, is going to be ended in a cul-de-sac. I don't think it's going to go through. And I see on the south side of that subdivision is a whole commercial stretch in there that's for commercial only. Something needs to be done and done soon, because as that is developed, it's gonna cost you a lot more. I mean, if we start talking about buying commercial land compared to residential land, compared to a property that has houses on it, the bare land right now is the cheapest option. Whether you make it an agreement with the city of Piasta, or you make an agreement with the people that own it and give them a small lump sum for a lot, and make a guarantee, get something in writing. I've been a businessman for a long time, and I like to have things in writing, and I like to actually give somebody a little money and say, okay, this is a legal thing. Because unless you have that, those contractors can change their mind. As that grows, there's gonna be people on the north side of that street say, I don't want 300 cars going by the front of my house today. I mean, it's a lot of people. And again, the people that come down to my place per day, and I'm not lying, okay, we have 50 cars or better turn around in my driveway a day. We have semis down there that back up into my driveway. We have people from Chicago with those double pups coming down there and trying to turn around. And he's asking me, can I turn around your lawn? No, you can't turn around my lawn. You know, and if you're gone, you come home and your mailbox is laying in the middle of the street. And I know exactly what happened. Somebody come down there, hey, I can turn around his lawn. The ditch is not deep enough. The graffiti that we get down there, I mean, like I said, I don't care whether you open the tunnel or not. I mean, I understand that it's an expensive thing. I understand that it's gonna be a problem, okay? I understand your points. But I also look at safety. I look at people and I see, this morning I saw a really close call out there again. And you see them every morning. I mean, people are gonna get killed, period.
I thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. I want you to take away that I'm intending to follow through and we'll work on something.
Okay. I guess that's, if you have any questions for me, that's fine, but
Thank you.
I'm concerned.
And we'll get word out, it'll be a public meeting, public discussion.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the time, appreciate it.
All right, next would be the engineer's report. That's usually Anthony gives that, so. And then general road department discussion. Is there anything else in general under roads?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. We have our next work session, if we stay with schedule, would be work session to discuss ARC-GIS program for the urban coordinator.
So moved.
He was here earlier.
I'm gonna recommend we just canceled this. I think we're gonna be able to coordinate that internally here.
Okay.
Stella and I both spoke with Jeff Miller and Eric Schmeckel.
I don't see it a board decision myself. I think, you know, we have a GIS department, we have funding for those. He's on contract, so I'm sure you can get him the license.
Okay.
I think there was even some emails back and forth about that between Jeff Miller and Eric, so.
All right.
It's a good tool.
So,
needed.
work session with ECIA regarding board strategic planning.
Just like that, we're only 34 minutes behind.
Right.
That's good, huh?
Right.
Boom.
You're moving fast.
Well, hey, I thought we'd have
Says
to wait
the
a lot
observers
longer.
to the turtles.
So, thank you for having us here today. We were asked to put together a proposal to do some goal setting and short and long-term strategic planning, so that's what we submitted. And we looked at it with several different options, but we thought what we laid out here would be probably the best, based on the amount of time that you all have available, and to get you captured for snippets of time to make this happen. And so basically, page 4 lays out what the whole proposal runs through, but you'd be looking at a couple of sessions to work through developing some SMART goals, which would be goals that are measurable, that you have outcomes for, and these goals would be overall larger picture goals, because then your objectives would be what you achieve to get to those goals. And then looking at 1 to 2 year, what can you do in a short period of time with the finances that you have available, and then what would you want to budget for out 3 to 5 years?
And to be quite honest, in my 18 years with ECIA as executive director, we have not done strategic planning for Dubuque County. I've not had the opportunity to present a proposal or to even really discuss it. So it would be something that we haven't done for you, but I'm not sure if other supervisors had it done by a different group. Not sure. But this is very specific, not to, say, for example, the SMART plan that you have. That's a plan that involved all the communities putting together what they look at for comp and land use planning. This is specifically for you as a board, what would be your goals for out 1 to 2 years and what's your goals 3 to 5 years. And then quantifying what those costs would be, as well as how do you engage partners, like you were just discussing now with Piasta and the concerns with the roadway there. You know, does that become an objective within a goal where your goal might be you want to take a look at access to some of these subdivisions and county roads, and you know, how does that impact with future development, and where does this road fit in, and what are the costs, and who do you need to involve as partners? So, you know, maybe there's other roads out there like that you would look at it more broadly than just that. And again, we are more than happy to change it, tweak it. Also, I know the total cost is $4,705. It's probably not budgeted in this fiscal year for you. I know is it? Okay. Because if it wasn't, I was going to say you could plan for it starting July 1 as well. So I don't want to push you into anything that's...
It is budgeted, correct? We had that in, some strategic planning money was placed into the budget for this year.
Either way, we can accommodate it.
Okay.
Well, it's my understanding that it was, and it might be that it's under Dawn's budget, but this was discussed as a need and something that we would be doing.
But even if it wasn't, we have the ability to do an amendment and do it this year rather than wait till next year. Right?
However this would fit into your schedule and your timeline, and however you see it would happen. I think it could be, you know, beneficial in just looking at how to pare down some of the various different requests that I think you get. You know, where does it fit? I mean, we do our own, ECIA does a 5-year strategic plan all the time, and I know when we look at taking on new projects, or I look at doing something out of the norm, it's like, where does that fit with the priorities of the, you know, people that we serve? Where does it fit with, you know, the staff?
Rest of the budget?
What's it do to the rest of the budget? So, you know, it's always taking a look at that. Ours is a living document, so I always revisit it quarterly to make sure that what we're doing fits with what the strategic plan is. So, and our directors, they all have that plan, and they all know, hey, you know, I've got benchmarks and goals that I have to meet, and where does it fit within our budget? So.
And I know the three of you are will be participating with Chandra and the RTA, and it's as far as their strategic plan, and it's a very similar format, so you'll see what you're getting.
Yeah.
I know when you asked us for some information initially, Kelly, your draft of some of these early ideas of what might you be able to help with the county, you asked us for a mission statement. You asked us for our goals.
Right.
I said we don't have that. We don't have that.
It
So I
would
think
be
that
good to have.
Right.
When you look at other counties, that's something that you see, you know, what their vision, their mission is, where they're going, who their partners, you know, are, and it can change too. I mean, it shouldn't be a document that you put on the shelf. This needs to be something that you visit regularly, because it needs to evolve with what you're doing. And as you add projects and delete projects, and you know, that changes your objectives and your goals. But you want them measurable. I mean, we want to make sure that, again, you can achieve them as well. So don't make it so lofty you can't make it.
Do you see this more as open structure related to goals, objectives, and maybe tasks, projects, actions, or more in the county format? So we've got various departments, we've got various funding sources. What's your thought or vision for that?
I see it more overall for the county, but your departments, we want them to have some input. So in the second in the second phase of this, we want to make sure that what you look at as goals and objectives, they see fit. So where do they fit in, and how are they going to implement? Because ultimately, your staff are the ones that are going to implement some of this work as well. So I would see it both, that you look at it overall, but then how do they fit into the picture? Because when we look at ECIA's overall goals and objectives, you know, we have so many various departments, what they do have to fit into that overall picture. So they'll feed into it. What I, Jennifer and I don't want is to have like a session with all your staff that becomes a big, you know, tetherball going back and forth. I mean, ultimately, this is your plan, and
Directive has to
ultimately,
come from-
the directive has to come from you.
And again, this is, my thought about this is what we need, maybe on you know, a very micro level, is some conversation that can be facilitated between 3 supervisors about how do we communicate in the world where you can't create a quorum? How do we build our own, inside our own office, inside our supervisors, such as it is, support? What's that look like? How do you get information? How are we operating as a department? Because we are a department of the county as well. So how does that function? You know, there's not a way to have those conversations if we don't have them inside some kind of goal setting and some kind of creation of understanding of the Board of Supervisors. It's almost like we need to create, in my opinion, our own memorandum of understanding about how we go about the county's business so that we can be organized enough to be able to graciously onboard an executive, like we tried to this morning before you were present, in a way that we understand what would we want documents to be, what's the expectation of how we want our staff to present us with information. That is a discussion that we don't have the way it's always been, because we don't have any kind of accumulated history together. So that's why
I see that more as process improvement, which I
Right.
think is
And
important.
that may
So
be
maybe
your
if you
goal.
can facilitate that as well, I would be in favor of it. So you've got kind of, you know, lofty goals, and then, you know, what you talk about is process improvement and communication.
it might be
So
that
is
through
that one
process
of the
improvement.
goals?
Yeah.
We might
so-
find that through process improvement, we find that we really need a county administrator.
Yeah.
You know, we might come to some conclusion of a way forward over a length of time, years in the future, that we really need to make a strategic and key hire. That might be the way that we operate best to our individual talents. So, but I don't want to get too big. One of the goals is really to look small, and I don't necessarily need to have directors of other departments
Not
weigh
for
in
that,
on that.
right.
Well, maybe I'll jump in then. So the city of Dubuque, if you're familiar with them, they have, you know, their high priorities, critical priorities, and different ones. I mean, is that the format you also would like? So you've got a hard, tangible, like, support Piasta, just like they have one that says support the Dream Center. Is that that level of detail you're looking for?
Well, I guess I would put support Piasta under more a broad umbrella of develop infrastructure or concrete relationships with cities and towns. So one of the goals would be that we're really truly looking in a way that's, and inside that goal, then you say, okay, who are the key people? Who are the way forward? I don't know how, I don't want to create some kind of,
So you're not interested in individual call-outs like improve Swiss Valley or, you know, better access for Highway 20 or?
I think
I
you could do
don't
that
think
within
so.
your departments. I mean, I think your departments could look at what your overall goals are.
Agreed, I'm just curious
Yeah.
as to what
Oh,
they're thinking.
sorry.
no, I'm not trying to say we're going to.
I'm just trying to understand what they're thinking for strategic planning, so I'm not disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
So my limited experience here is that, I mean, we touch most everything. As supervisors, our general knowledge base is supposed to be extensive.
Everything Dubuque County.
What's that?
Everyththing Dubuque County.
Exactly,
Every and
everything
all.
Dubuque County. It's like,
It
well,
is.
why don't you know that? Well, guess what? I mean, first time I've heard this. You raised this morning about, some water tax issues so there's lots of things that we could be looking at inside of a goal, which is water quantity, water quality, improving our attention to the increasing water issues that the county's experiencing. That would certainly be one of my goals. And so inside that, what does that look like, and which departments help us break that down? And then, do we have the right people in place? What might that mean budget-wise going forward? So each of those issues, I think, could be goals, but they're, they're generalists, and then you build from those. Does that help?
Yeah, I think it's more high level, less specific projects, and that helps me.
And then the specific projects come in through, I think, more the department
Right,
heads.
right.
And it would be great to get this done in a way that lends us to go right into budgeting, if we can, because that's when the departments come in and bring their ideas about what might need to be modified or additional requests.
And that brings me to one of my items, since you mentioned it. I would like, if the board would like, I would like a component of this process to be to study the financial viability and/or options of levy rates and other pieces. I don't know how well, if you want to bring in some of your, Lisa and a few others on the financial side of it, I think that would be very helpful, because, goals and priorities and projects are great, but if we don't have the levies to support it, or the basically levy rate that gives us funding to support it, it's not going to help.
And that might, I guess I'd be open to, if we're gonna be purchasing that kind of development, that might be beyond the scope of what you've already kind of looked at, which is more generalized information about goal setting.
But
So
it
I
could be
would leave
something
it-
Stella does with them in conjunction, so in this document, and so, I just throwing this out, it's, governments don't do this very often, where they try to project what the tax levies will be in a series of years moving forward. That's challenging, but it can be done. That's what I do when I'm looking at the levy rates and the different components, where they'll come from. So I would love to have that in this document if that's possible.
I don't know, I know Stella's working on long-range budget issues too, of making small steps inside budgeting. How do we get our budget office right? That would maybe be a goal as well. How do we get the budget folks ready to?
And really what I'm seeing is, so let's say you have these objectives, and, by law, they get, in projects, they get put into components. So if they're mental health, they're going there. But most of them are going to be the general budget. And that is restricted and capped. So if that's the case, the only way you get new money is through new growth. And so you can have an anticipated growth rate, and then that will give you your funds that you can spend on for the general budget with. The rest of them are all restricted.
It all comes back to the money. It just really does. It all comes back to the budget. The prioritize, I mean, you could prioritize anything, but
Yes.
that doesn't mean we can afford to do the
So
goal.
yes, and state law with that. So that's the other cap.
And that's where I was gonna,
State laws dictate what we can do as well.
we have unfunded mandates, and that's subject to change by the state legislature and/or the executive branch. So how do you plan for whether or not we're gonna have the backfill? So, I agree, we should look at it, but we'd have to make assumptions.
Yeah.
And I'm okay doing that. I think looking forward is good, but if all of a sudden we don't have the backfill anymore, then we have to go back to the drawing board and make whatever changes. And also, I think, I've sat in on a lot of meetings with city department heads, and I've heard as early as October or November, that wasn't talked about in our budget, so can't do it for this year. Also, I think they're fairly rigid with their priorities. So now, they obviously have some cushion built in, because they were involved in the flex steel negotiation. So, but we didn't have anything budgeted for that, but we got involved in it. So we have moving targets, things that come up that, when we're talking about the budget, they might not even exist. Flex steel comes up.
Now we got $2 million that was
Right.
appropriated, that's now free.
My point exactly. So do we say?
That's a good thing, right?
That was the only good news about that, by the way.
Do we say, whoops, it's not on our priority list, so we can't do it?
But obviously, what we would say is, goodness, look, we talked about workforce stabilization, and one of the purposes that we have to exist at all
Understand.
is to have an economic development and to do no harm kind of concept inside economic development. But if you don't have those goals laying out, how do you say to taxpayers, hey, yeah, I spent a whole lot of money on that, because it's absolutely an essential service that you want your Board of Supervisors to address, and we talk about that on an annual basis, or that those are our priorities and our goals. Then that tells everybody we're having the conversation. I mean, eventually, I would like this to be part of a county-wide discussion with constituents, but we gotta take baby steps first to get organization in place to be able to, I think, entertain big-scale conversations. That's where I think
And I think we have done a good job of identifying issues when we can and reacting to them. And some of this is reactive. We weren't allowed to be proactive on Flex Steel or the regional airport expanding air service. That came up because there was a grant involved. Heck, the lead-based paint mitigation grant, we didn't get a lot of lead time on that. There was a grant deadline, we acted, we got it. I think it's great. So I think, we can look back and probably look back in the rearview mirror and get what our priorities have been and say, are these type of things gonna come up again? Probably, and we can put them in a plan. I agree with that part of it. But, some of that is playing Monday morning quarterback. There's gonna be, in sitting in these chairs, times that we have to make independent decisions. And, I'm for forecasting and having a plan to do, the best we can. But I don't want it to become a cop-out. We can't do that because we didn't talk about it or it's not in our budget. We've never operated that way, so. But I think this process will be healthy. And I think we're almost kind of getting into that discussion here, which is also good, so.
I think it just shows that we really do need to proceed. And I don't know if anyone's found the answer to the question of whether or not this is a budgeted item. I know I've had this conversation multiple times since I've been elected as a candidate, so I strongly believe that's in your budget, Dawn, to have. Yes, it is.
Yeah. We have unfunded mandates that I know a lot of people don't know about, that municipalities don't have. Burials, general relief, those are unfunded mandates.
So
We're told this is what we're gonna do, and we provide the funding for
I
that.
don't know if you've seen this, it's from the Dubuque Community School District, and it's one that Kelly had found and really liked. You have,
Yeah.
and
I actually have not seen that. I'd like
here, I
to
have
it.
copies.
Is that a
we can-
copy?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering, Dawn, does this number fit inside what was budgeted?
There's a. But there's a fund that has money that has.
And are we far off the mark with what they're asking for? Can we afford to hire them?
I don't believe you put a dollar amount in, but there's, under our budget.
Okay, thank you.
But this is a model that we've used at ECIA, and I think any business that you look at is gonna have fluctuations and things that come up that you weren't thinking about and things that fall off, and they have to be broad enough to encompass those things. When I looked at this, as you were speaking, this doesn't have specific dollar amounts attached to the goals, the action steps, or the outcomes, but it has proficiencies, it has percentage of people met, or audiences that they want to reach. And maybe you approach it that way, and then when it gets to the department budget, they're the ones that come up with the assigning of dollars and what's gonna happen in the short term and the long term. But what we find, I think, in grant writing is that you always want to have more shelf-ready projects So when something does fall out, you infill with
Right.
the next project, or you move, you're constantly shuffling things around. And we want to do something that will enable you to be nimble and to be flexible with those things.
I'm just thinking the whole grant perspective. I mean, one of your goals could be to expand grant opportunities or expand partnerships with grant opportunities. So when these do come up, be it HUD-led or be it something with FEMA, or, you know, you have the broad category and then some of the objectives that will fill in underneath that. So that will allow you to be a little more flexible. And I think related to the financial viability, I think if we can get through this initial process, then we could sit down and look at, okay, now, it would have to be by department, because the department's got their various budgets, but, you know, how can we project based on where we are at right now with backfill, where the money could come from in the next 5 years? I do agree, Dave, we don't know year to year what's gonna happen with that, we really don't. Every year, we all are nervous as we go into the legislative session.
Well, just
The
look
two
at,
percent would be,
Yeah.
that would end all funds. So.
Yeah.
2% cap.
Right.
Actually, we'd be talking about a whole different set of goals, and some of that would just be
We'd read,
survivability.
yeah, you wouldn't be
A
able to support
2%
your
cap.
staff.
That's
We've been
probably
averaging
goal number one.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah, we would be retracting.
So
things.
initially, we'd send out a survey just to the three of you, and you need to do it independently, not together, independently, what you think, you know, your broader goals would be, so that when we get together, we can say, okay, you know, where does this rank? Who's got this common thread? Because that's what's gonna pop to the top. You know, we don't wanna do something where it's way off base for one and the other. I mean, we want to know, are there commonalities here as you fill the survey out? What comes up as a priority?
And so for those goals, you know, we're really looking at a handful, a small handful.
Right.
And then,
You know.
12?
That's too many.
That's too many.
We'll stop you there.
I have 5. I have 5 on this hand.
Yeah. We'll stop
So,
you, yeah.
yeah.
Especially your first time around at this.
one.
Okay.
The other, just a small one, can we remove the word smart from all of this?
Oh, sure. You don't want to be
Doesn't that
smart?
refer back to the old plan? Wasn't it
Okay.
a smart plan?
Oh, the
Yeah.
comp plan?
Yeah,
Get rid
for
of
us,
that.
we're referring to it as
But-
simple, measurable, achievable.
Yeah, but I would get rid of the
Okay.
acronym, so it doesn't have any
Okay.
tie to the
Okay.
other plan.
All right.
We'll still do that. We'll still make you be
Acronym?
smart.
We'll still make you be smart.
intelligent,
Done uniquely, multitasking.
Not
know where
dumb.
I'm
Plan.
Okay, so maybe that wasn't a good acronym.
do we need, some action, a motion?
I'll certainly make a motion that we accept the proposal from ECIA and that we move forward in contracting with them for their services to provide some basic, I guess we're not gonna call it a smart plan, but
It's
some
goal setting and
Goal
strategic
setting and
plan.
strategic planning.
Setting and
Yep,
strategic
goal setting
Yeah.
and strategic planning for the board as set forth.
And I will second that.
Okay,
Okay,
is there
so,
any further discussion? Go ahead.
no, I think you need to wrap that and then I'll
Oh,
comment.
all right.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, the only time I have a note that smart was brought up was
Sales-
smart
sales
goals.
class.
It was, so, and then, after that, I have in my notes, big picture. So, we could call it big picture.
There we go.
Yeah, all right. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried, 3-0.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Well, we will get
looking
with
forward
Dawn on
to it.
scheduling. And
Yeah,
did
we'll
you
get
have a
a-
comment?
Do we need to get you a contract then
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
and then we'll do
Can you
the-
also, I would like to, there's some timeliness to this if we're gonna try to get something concrete to work with that's helpful in budgeting. Yeah.
Yes, so we
So
want to
I'm
get
not seeing the whole
started sooner
budgeting
than later.
purpose come all the way through in terms of the early setup for that. So, I guess I'm looking at you, Jay, what do you think? To be helpful to wrap this up, to have some budget input.
I mean, I think if you, so your question is as far as when, so I mean, if we could have things done, wrapped up by the end of the year, that gives you, 2.5 short months. Otherwise, when we get into January, we're we're putting in cells, cells and spreadsheets of the budget already. So to have value for this upcoming budget period, it needs to be, but, you know, even if we didn't, even if you, yeah,
Even if
so
you got your
that's.
short-term goals for this year, that if you're looking at things you want to budget for this year and get your long-term 3 to 5 year, you know, done
In the spring.
in the spring, you know, because you really want to look at what is it you want to do now that you'd want to get in your budget this next year.
Yeah, I mean, I think both of those have values, so the same thing could be true with long-term goals, if you're trying to accomplish and move forward those, you know, these
Yeah.
small initiatives move towards it. So I think you just go through the process, you don't try to rush it, you try to make it organic and meaningful so that you have your true authentic goals and visions that elected officials and other stakeholders have.
That's why
but-
we were concerned about how quickly this was coming up, that we didn't want it to be rushed, but you're okay. So, I mean, we can get the contract and the survey out to you and just start moving it along and see how we do.
Sure.
And if you wanted it to align with budgeting, then you do it the way I was kind of mentioning it before, by department. So what are your goals for the sheriff's department? What are your goals for our legal system? What are your goals for conservation? What are your goals for Sunnycrest? And if you do that, then that's a quicker window to line up to budgeting. But it's more siloed.
And I
don't
think
know.
you're broader at this point before you get
Well, I think
siloed.
initially we have to set some
Right.
framework, I guess is what I'm asking. We're gonna set a Board of Supervisors framework.
Right.
So we have common understanding, we have common framework. And then certainly, you know, the idea, it'll still be informative and tremendously helpful as we look at budgeting, whether we do this again and come back to it in March, which I'm not opposed to, because the budget is ongoing. I don't think that we want it to be, the budget's done. We just looked at a budget amendment today, and it's going out to be published. I think folks who watch us know that we talk budget a lot. But I think it's about working together as a board initially with some framework, and then as things roll on, they will.
There'll probably be at least 2 more FY20 budget amendments.
Till we get to
So we're
next
good.
July. So over the next, till the end of the fiscal year on June 30th.
Okay,
We're good.
that's great.
Right.
That's very helpful.
So it's not as though we never carve things and then walk away. We have the luxury, I think, of being able to make it be a living document, but I think that putting a framework together for supervisors to have discussion and goal setting, that lets everyone know what to anticipate when those unforeseen things happen.
And there just can't be any after May 31st,
Okay.
right? Still.
Second.
Can't do any in June, right?
Correct.
May 31
Can have
deadline.
discussion. Does that help you, Kelly and Jennifer?
Yes.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, well,
Look
thank
forward to
you.
working with you.
All right. Can I ask a question about the University of Iowa Sustainability Grant? Do we know anything?
You know what? I had an email from Travis a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I just want to let you know that we're really interested in your proposal. We'd like to be back in Dubuque County, but we're not making our October 1st deadline. He said, I'm going to need a couple more weeks for us to make a decision. So it was encouraging, but not definitive, was where we were at on that.
Want to be in the yes pile.
So, but thank you for bringing it up. I think I'll just check in with him because it's the middle of the month, and I'll say, hey, Travis.
Say, you got a question from the board.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody need a break? We have Josh Jasper here for 1 o'clock.
You know, my water is.
Anybody need a brief?
I'm fine.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mary, you fine?
Josh, do you want to take a
Really?
5-minute break or?
She's got an autopilot.
Okay.
It's a
All right.
recorder.
We'll move into we're right on time or
So
close
do
to
we have
it.
documents from Josh? Do we have anything that supports this next work session? I think you sent an email some weeks ago.
Bring him up.
Okay. So maybe we can track down with Dawn to
Okay.
see where those
Why don't we take a
documents are.
brief recess? I'll get with
I'll take a
Dawn.
motion to recess for 5 minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll get with her.
Talk to herself.